And a very good morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope wherever you are, though, it is Valentine's Day, because today we are here to talk about love. I am Chris, I am the Atheist Pastor, and welcome to Friday Night Six Pack, where we sit around and just talk about serious topics, slowly get drunk, and devolve into whatever we devolve into. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on this special Valentine's Day edition. Now, we've got some guests. We've even got a new face here today, which is very exciting. So I'm going to do the Brady Bunch thing and go clockwise. So the star of the show is here, of course, Jen, my mother's favourite from Jen's Little Corner. How are you, Jen? What's going on?
I've been better, but I still made it.
Commitment. I love the commitment.
This is one hell of a commitment, considering I'm on double doses of antibiotics. I think I'm really showing one for the team here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think most people in chat know who I am. I'm Jen from Jen's Little Corner. Auntie Jen on Twitter now. I'll just say that you can distinguish all the different Jens. I do debunking of pseudoscience and atheist content and LGBTQ plus content.
Now it's not overly exciting for you tonight, but as is tradition, we'll ask the question: what are you drinking?
I'm not drinking because I'm on antibiotics.
Well, that's all right.
I have water. I may go and get some
water.
Pepsi later, but
I got some water.
Ooh,
I got some water.
Water. Where's wondering when we need a Hovind impersonation?
He's at the DMV, little bastard.
He is too, isn't he? He's
That's what he
you
said.
know what?
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing at the DMV at 5:30 in the morning, but
look, he's probably lining up. From what I've heard, the DMV is a bit crazy over there in the States. So, but you know what? That's a classic example
DMV's
of a man who is in
everywhere.
love. We got it good here. We just wander in. Everything's wonderful. Now we'll move down. Ansgar Odinson, welcome. First time on Six Pack. How are you, mate? What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Let's see. Well, first of all, I'm going to answer the drinking thing first. I'm not drinking tonight because we don't have any beer in the house, but I do have my little. Totally, this is just tobacco. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm in California. It doesn't matter, so it can be whatever I want it to be. But this is no, I've got my little pot pen here. No, let's see what's going on. I'm sure some people are aware. I did just leave In Time recently. For those of you who are, I know Jen, you've been a guest on In Time.
I have. So, Chris.
Yeah, and that was actually one of my favorite episodes. We got to meet there, which was really, really freaking cool. I'm still going to be around. I'm still going to be like a guest and a correspondent and stuff like that. It's not ugly. It's not bad. Everything's cool. Mostly, I mean, there were some creative differences, and there were some passions, but everything's going to be good. And mostly, I wanted to take some more time to work on my comic book and work on my channel, and you know what I mean, kind of, take my own path, so to speak.
And I'm going to say, it's one thing that I absolutely respect is the way you guys have handled it, because I mean, there's so many fights when channels or people go their separate ways, but from what I can see so far, it's nothing but mutual respect. Creative differences, it happens, but I take my hat off to you both, because it just seems to be a respectful thing both, and obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but
Nick's nice. Nick's like a brother to me. Seriously, he really is like a brother to me. He's been really good to me. He's been really awesome. He's been there when I've really needed it. I have nothing but respect for him. And trust me when I say that In Time really is in the best hands. And we were partners, and I told him that these creative differences, well, these are insurmountable, and I give you, all of my stake and all the artwork and everything, and I'm going to go my way, and I'll still be around, and you're the best person to captain this ship, so to speak. So everything's good. There's a lot of mutual respect. I think that In Time, the property, and I think I brought a lot to it, but I think that as far as somebody to captain the ship and take it forward, I think he's the best guy for the job. you know.
Awesome. Now moving down.
Oh yeah,
we
I
have,
just want to say,
yep.
hi, Chris's mum. I love you. I'm a sucker.
You know what? She's going to yell at me. Oh, you shouldn't have said anything. I can tell you now. She'll be saying that, and but that's okay. I love your mum. If you're watching, it's nice. Not everyone's mum watches these things. I guess I was a bit surprised when I found out mine did. I thought she'd have better things to do than listen to her son, who she's had to listen to for almost 40 years. But apparently,
well, maybe that's why she prefers me over you, because she's sick of listening.
I was gonna say, as a mom, I totally understand that. I could listen to Angel all the time. I've been over 40 years, but okay.
That's all right.
I could listen to Jen too. So
everyone loves.
I'm amazed
Jen.
anyone listens to me.
Now we'll move. We'll continue the clockwise spin, and Jay, our honorary Australian Jay, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man.
What's going on with you?
A little bit of a headache, but I'm doing all right.
That's right. Headache on Valentine's Day, mate. You're already making excuses. How does Raven feel about this?
I don't know. Yeah, after the morning shows, we're gonna go shopping, so we'll see.
Excellent. And what are you drinking today?
Orange juice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I said a little bit of a headache, so I had to take some aspirins, and I only got 2 beers left, and I just kind of want to save them for a little bit later.
So you mean I could possibly be the only one drinking on 6-pack?
Possibly.
Oh wow. Well, that serves me right, because last week I couldn't drink because I was on the medication last week. So I guess it's all flipped now, isn't it? It's one extreme to the other, and we'll move across to the next big YouTube star of the atheist community, Mama Atheist Amanda. How are you? How are you feeling after a big night last night? Well, I guess yesterday morning for you on Daily Atheist, and I guess a bit of an online debut, I guess, in a long format. So how are you feeling after that?
I feel loved and welcomed very much. And I'm sorry that it's kind of dark in my room, but I'm trying to get it as bright as possible. Happy Valentine's Day, all. I had a real fun time, and I can't wait to do more. So I'm happy to be here today.
That's good.
I noticed today, Amanda, that you copped some feedback from everyone's favorite troll and bigot, Ron.
No.
I did. Oh my God! I didn't even notice that.
Oh, you haven't even seen it?
No, I haven't. What is?
He had a go at you on one of your tweets.
Okay.
He seems to be doing the rounds.
Yeah.
Did he watch us or something? Is he looking?
I don't know. He's been
God.
chasing lots of people around in the community. He's basically been behaving like Darth Dawkins, which is a kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
Now, okay. I will ask a question. What are you drinking this morning, Amanda? Please be something strong.
No, well, it's morning, so it's it's almond milk mocha.
Okay. Well,
pretty good though.
Well, because it's Valentine's Day, I thought I would go for the romantic option, and I'm on I've got a nice glass of red wine here. It's it's a Lindemann's Cab Sav, which is a South Australian wine, very, very famous, the Barossa for wine growing. So I've just cracked the bottle. We'll see how I go with it. So hopefully in an hour or two I'm not slurring too much, but we've got a lot to cover tonight, including we're going to cover some sexy Bible moments. We're going to look at the sexy Bible, and we're going to look at some of our favorite couples in the Bible. So I might just sort of open the floor and see, has anyone got a favorite couple in the Bible that they really, and just so you know, Best Name Ever, it's not quite a non-drinking drinking stream. It's just a lot of people are going to be the designated driver for me. So fortunately, I've got everyone here to take control of it when I become uncontrollably.
Except me, because I'm not allowed to drink with the amount of antibiotics. I'll drive with the amount of antibiotics I'm on.
Wait, I don't know. Is Jay drinking?
No, just orange juice.
Yeah, it's us Americans are lame in the morning, so.
Well, normally I'm drinking because it's actually it's nighttime for me because I work third shift. But I got a headache, and not a lot of beer left, so.
Well,
And I got a
You've
long
been
week.
sick too, Jay. So
Yeah, I am really just kind of finally kicking this nasty whatever been going around. So, but I had a couple beers yesterday, so that makes up for today. So.
And I'll just do a quick shout out to. Looks like we've got a fairly active chat at the moment, which is good. Everyone's come to share the love, so I'll apologise if I miss anyone. But Doorknob Head, he's made the comment there that Maximus drinks red wine. Now, for those who watch Daily Atheist, there's a bit of a joke where they probably because of the way I speak, they're convinced I'm Russell Crowe. So there's a lot of Russell Crowe related jokes. So yeah, it's I wish I
never realised that, but you do sound like him, don't you?
Apparently
a little
so.
bit.
Apparently,
I
so.
don't
Except you're not as aggressive, Chris.
Yeah.
Except for the debates online.
It's too bad you don't do a ton of debates, because after a debate you could always do the "Are you not entertained?"
Oh, you know what? Next debate I do, I'm going to throw that out there just for you. That's just going to get.
Oh,
we'll
make
get
sure
there.
you tag me so that I can be there. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I do have a debate coming up, and we're going to organise we need to organise a time and a moderator. We're going to do it on this channel, myself and One Ring. We're going to be debating Monty Python, because who doesn't want to debate Monty Python? So that's coming up soon. So everyone look out for that one. So I'm just going to throw a quick hello to some people in the chat. So obviously Doorknob Head, good to see you. Best Name Ever, good to see you there. Danger Hissy, who is flying the flag generally against St. Ron, has done a bang-up job there. Well done. Raven, good to see you. Atheist Ant, Critical Cripple. Critical Cripple, you weren't the first one to say hi, so I was shocked. We've got Vandalia in the chat, Stuttering Cris, Godless Scummer, JustSouthern Atheist, and if I have missed anyone, I am very, very sorry, but I'm just watching that scroll, so I'll say hi to you as I see you. So,
I say hi to William. Hi, William. Just
everyone's there, but yes, debate Monty Python. It will be happening. So we're going to talk favorite couples in the Bible. So has anyone in particular got that one couple in the Bible that they just think, you know what, that's love? What are you thinking, Jen? Who's your favorite couple in the Bible?
Sorry, I'm sidetracked. Who's my favorite couple in the Bible?
Who's your favorite couple in the Bible?
I don't know. I don't think any of them are great. None of them are incredibly great examples of couple tonight. I mean, the problem I have with the Old Testament is they're not equal partnerships. I mean, the women are virtually slaves of their husbands, and even when you look at the early wives who are actually mentioned, because most of the women in the Bible aren't even mentioned. You've got to say that no, they had to follow those rules of obeying their husband. So I don't think there's any good examples of solid romantic, true love couples in the Bible at all.
No.
Maybe the closest thing to romantic love is the love that Mary Magdalene has for Jesus, but it's
I was just about to say that. That's probably the closest thing to a healthy relationship you can see.
Well, it's not, though, because it's not reciprocated. Well, as far as we know, it's not.
Well, I'm just saying, even if let's say it wasn't, it's still the closest thing to a healthy relationship in the Bible.
I agree.
You know, because there's the whole Priory of Zion aspect.
No.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, if you listen to some of the theories, you know, he wasn't actually killed; he was stole away, and they moved to France.
Yeah,
there's
no evidence of it. I mean, there's less evidence for that than there is for him himself. So,
I'm saying it's out there.
Here's a really good question.
Was Jesus a big toe? Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't think so. I think Jesus himself actually would have. A modern itinerant like Jesus wouldn't be like would probably be more progressive. Jesus was displayed as progressive for his time, so a modern Jesus would be more progressive.
But it was literally a bunch of men going their own way. You know,
It was. It really was. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, it's a bunch of blokes going from town to town, marching through that town. It kind of reminds me of like a traveling Mardi Gras.
Ah,
Not
I mean,
enough
you know,
bits.
it could be lots of robes, lots of fishing, and well, who knows? Who knows what happens? What happens on a boys' trip stays on a boys' trip, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to say that Solomon and his one of his wives were at least nice, because Solomon did spend a lot of time writing love letters. But were they to his concubines or were they to his wives? And we don't know that either.
Well,
So
he was a bit of a randy bugger, wasn't he?
He was. So I mean, I guess maybe he might have had a decent relationship at some point, and he certainly had some concepts of love in his head. So maybe if you're going Old Testament, that's probably as close as you're going to get.
Well, I think Godless Scummer brings up a good one. Brian and Judith. So for anyone who's familiar with the life of Brian, I think that's pretty good.
I would like to point out though that the Bible isn't unique in this. Try to find like a healthy relationship in any of the, ancient Bronze Age religions at all. They're absent.
Because you didn't write about the women, you wrote about the men.
Well, no, you did sort of write about the women. Like, okay, the story of Freya.
No.
Hold on, like the story of Freya, right?
I suppose, it's different in Greco-Roman legends.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Any of the religions, for not just that one area, but like they all are pretty awful, except for maybe Aphrodite and Hephaestus. I mean, that's kind of
there are a couple of Japanese stories where they actually talk about lovers sacrificing themselves for each other.
Hold on, Hades and Persephone. He literally abducted her. That's not exact. No,
I'm not saying that is, but I'm there's
somebody in the chat said Hades and Persephone's. And Persephone. Yeah, that's like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, that popped into my head first. I went, no, wait a minute, he kidnapped her. That doesn't count.
I mean, so if you go outside of the Bible, you might be able to find something within a myth and legend that works. I mean,
sort of.
I mean, Ulysses didn't cheat on his wife in all the years he was astray, but she did on him, so I guess that doesn't count.
Now, I am going to talk about some great examples of love in the Bible, but first I just want to say a big hello to Vagrant Sam, who I believe you've been out being romantic this evening. Is that right?
Yeah, had a bit of a date, a bit of a Valentine's Day dinner, and it was nice. I mean, I'm here on a stream, so some people might say it didn't go as good as it could go, but hey,
Well, some people could say it's really starting to heat up. I mean, we're also now. Please, for the love of Zeus, tell me that you are drinking tonight.
I do need to go grab a drink. I sort of forgot to pick it up on the way in. So
yeah, the angle on your headphones, Sam, from here made it look like you were wearing one of those Jewish skull caps.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just made me giggle.
I'd make a Jewish joke, but I won't because I'm
no. Let's not. Now, for those who don't know, Vagrant Sam, he is my brother from another mother and from another political party, but very, very under sub channel. So we need to get Sam to 150 subs because we want to hear him.
Want to hear that? Hear that? The Christian rap stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
We want to hear that.
Picking 150 and not 100, but yeah.
No, get greedy. That's okay.
Oh no, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm not a cheap date.
So I want to talk about an example of love in the Bible, and I want to talk about Abraham and Sarah, and that wonderful gift that Sarah, when she couldn't have a child, said, "Hey, here's my servant. Have Hagar." I mean, is that not just a great example of Bronze Age love? I mean, what do we think?
Oh, come on. You can't say he didn't pressure her into that.
Well, he probably didn't exist, so it's all good.
Yeah, well, no, I agree, but I mean, this is
in the context of the
story was obviously written by men who fantasized about their barren wife giving them permission to screw somebody else. I mean,
yeah, I'm about to say this sounds kind of like very Anne Rice-ish, and
it sounds like Stone Age men's fantasies, actually.
yeah,
isn't it just like the
Even the Bible
basis of
Stone
that
Age
movie
porn.
Hall Pass?
All right, so we had two people talking then, and
Sorry.
I didn't
Sorry.
get either. So I'm going to go Sam first, then Jen.
Well, wasn't this the basis of that movie Hall Pass that came out a little while ago?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
could have been. Yeah, it could have been.
Sorry, it was just a.
No, we love you singers.
I was
Yep.
going to
Yeah,
mention
you could
Lot
leave
and
me a
Edith.
second because I can't remember what I was going to say.
Cool. So we'll go to Amanda.
I was going to mention Lot and Edith, just saying that, the way she ended up, it was kind of like the best for Lot because, I know that's not why she ended up a pillar of salt, but, he was able to get out of that marriage without divorce or anything messy at all. So.
Yeah.
Who'd want him as a husband? He was offering up his daughters to be raped.
Yeah.
What an absolute
Yeah,
bastard.
he was the worst. So.
Well, I mean, what would you have him do? Let the angels be raped? I mean, come on, they were only girls.
Yeah, I mean,
And these are angels, supernatural, powerful angels. Surely they could defend themselves. They have God's power beside them. But no, let's face it, God got defeated by an iron fucking chariot.
Yeah,
you got to watch those iron
underage children, or underage children, or underage girls to an entire town's full of horny men because he's a good dude. That Lot. So
yeah, a great example of a biblical hero. I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Really good. Well, I want to talk about my favorite couple in the Bible, and it's a couple that not too many people know about. We're all familiar with King David, yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we know who the great love of his life was?
Yes. I forget his name, but yeah.
I knew it was a him, but yeah.
It's a him. So Jonathan. So there's in certain parts of the Bible, there's some hinting that good old King David, that all those fundamentalist Christians like the great Saint Ron Love might have been batting for a team that they didn't expect. So I'm just going to.
Well, I mean, if you actually look at the history of it, the whole concept of the Bible outlawing homosexuality wasn't really outlawing it. It was more a case of advising against it because they needed to increase their populations. They understood that people were going to be homosexual and in general, lots of people were.
The original wording too wasn't "man shall not lay with man." It was "man shall not lay with," I think, his brother or his father. I think it was. So it was actually outlawing.
And didn't it specifically say
not,
"as the Greeks do"? Meaning, which that's what I heard, that it specifically says "as the Greeks do," which at the time, or as the Romans do, which as the time, there were many homosexual relationships that were older men with young boys.
Yeah.
It didn't specifically mention either the Greeks or the Romans. It technically predated both of those civilizations rising. But yeah, it is part of it. And there was another, and I can't remember the verse, but what it actually refers to is what used to be tradition back in the Middle East back in those days is when they'd conquer a city or a town. If the city or the town had fought back and hadn't immediately surrendered, what they would do is whoever the king or the ruler of that town was would be basically gang raped by the entire army, or they'd be offered up. So that was outlawed. So that was part of what it was.
It's
so
misunderstanding how the Bible's
especially back then.
Written.
I'm just saying, early humans were just so rapey, just so.
They were very rapey.
Oh yeah.
We are most like bonobos, and they are the most rapey.
They are the horniest little shits.
They are horny little bastards, and we are most like them in our nature, not genetically, but in our nature, we are most like them.
Just be glad we didn't.
You saying we're monkeys, Jen?
Yeah, we're definitely monkeys.
Yeah, we're definitely great apes. I don't care what they say.
We are apes. Yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
just
saying,
saying, just be glad we didn't evolve from ducks.
Because we'd be witches?
life. Well done,
Well, no, because
daughter.
ducks pretty much reproduce via gang rape. In fact, rape is so prevalent among ducks that female ducks have corkscrewed vaginas that end in dead ends. And to trick the penis of the duck, which is actually corkscrewed in the opposite direction, and falls off every year after mating, interestingly enough, and they regrow a new penis.
That sounds awesome. I like that.
And so there are all these fake chambers, and so to try and mitigate just the enormous amount of rape that goes on in the duck world. Sometimes females get gang raped to death among ducks. She has all these fake chambers so that the penis will find these fake, chambers and deposit the semen that which she can get rid of. And then when she finds a mate that she actually, accepts, she can, her body kind of opens up the actual, cervix for the male.
I thought some species of ducks actually mated for life.
I know some swans do.
I know that swans do. I know that quite a few birds do, but ducks are one of the most rapey things in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, you got me wondering about that because
penguins, some species of penguins, like to rape dead things. So. Just throwing that out there. I don't know why. There's not a lot of sport in that one, but okay.
Sorry, and for those who are joining us for the first time ever, welcome to Friday Night Six Pack, where normally it's a couple of hours before it devolves to this, but no, this is good. This is going to be a fun show. This is going to be a real.
Where this info comes from, by the way, is my mother-in-law is an ornithologist and a biology professor, and.
Once they actually find their mate, they're monogamous for that mating season.
Right.
So.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they don't get raped.
If they don't get raped to death. Okay. Vandalia 1998 says I can never look at Darkwing Duck and DuckTales.
Chris.
Talk about I'm the terror that flaps in the night.
This is why
and Daisy. I mean, it's a whole new connotations to Disney now.
See, I was going worse with it. There's a reason why there's only nephews.
Donald has no pants and a sailor
Yeah,
so
I guess that makes sense why he has no pants.
Well, and he didn't need it because his penis fell off. He's waiting to regrow it for the next mating season.
You know what? If there was a chance that it was going to fall off, I reckon I'd abstain. I just wouldn't risk it. I'd just be like, get rapey, lose my dick, or don't. Let me think about that. Incidentally, I'm very, very happy that this is marked not safe for children.
Although, I mean, given the ducks have wings, I fail to see how they can masturbate. So, if their only outlet then is actually having sex, then maybe they're prepared to do that.
You don't need hands to masturbate. You can just rub up against something. It's still technically masturbation.
Yeah, just true.
True, but they've got a corkscrew penis. They might get it stuck. That would be hilarious to see, though. A duck is rubbed up against something and gets penis stuck on them. Why can't this duck fly away? He's stuck to the thing. How's he stuck to the thing? I want to know. Maybe it'll just fall off and then he can fly away.
And interesting, we'll have to ask Navadia about if that's the case. I think Lucius is a boy, so we'll have to see if that's really what the male snakes do. So
Lucius might end up fighting Notcha.
Joe, I've been doing some behind the scenes looking this up because Angar mentioned something about the man with man like the Greeks and whatnot. So what I've been looking at, it said the actual wording says that you should not if a man lies with a male as a woman. Now it is interpreted that they were not meaning man as in man; they're referring to the Greek use of pediastry.
Got it.
Not so much as man on man, but the Greeks, because they like the
concept of pedophilia.
Yeah, they like to play with little boys. So
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas
So I
the
wasn't totally
Bible,
off base.
yeah, whereas the Bible's very clear, you shouldn't do that. It's just the young female virgins that you keep for yourself. So
Yeah.
Right.
you've got to,
Oh,
you've got to be very, very clear. You know, it's
But
well, it's in
remember,
the
after
Bible.
you're done, but hold on, it is very, very humane. After you're done slaughtering her family, make sure that you give her a month to grieve first. Then you can rape her and make her your wife. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. You know what? Loving God. I mean, just evidence of the morality of the Bible. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
what says I'm the loving creator of the universe? Like, wait a month.
Yeah.
So getting back to my favorite couple. So I know that this is the part that everyone loves. I'm just going to read some Bible for everyone. So is everyone excited to hear a little bit of Bible this morning?
oh yes.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yay. Where we're talking about David talking with Saul, he met Jonathan, the king's son. There was an immediate bond between them, for Jonathan loved David. From that day on, Saul kept David with him and wouldn't let him return home. And Jonathan made a solemn pact with David because he loved him as he loved himself.
you know what that sounds like?
They masturbated each other.
That sounds a little like the relationship between Gilgamesh and Enkidu.
Well, it could have been stolen from there. And there was another. Where is it? When Jonathan died, there was, I grieve for you, Jonathan, my brother. You were very dear to me. Your love for me was wonderful, more wonderful than that of women.
There you go.
Yeah.
So are we stoning King David to death? What are we doing here, people? What do we think? Best couple in the
probably
Bible?
wouldn't have been because he was. Did David actually exist? Do we know that David existed?
I think the consensus is that
He probably did. Well, he would have been at a time when they would have actually understood what those Bible verses meant that everyone assumes is about homosexuality, and this probably wasn't a taboo.
And plus, as king, anything you know, much like Trump, you can get away with anything you want. So, you know, not to bring that up, but
although it is the general consensus among historians is the earliest, I guess, transcripts of the Bible, earliest that we've got, is actually after David. So it would appear that possibly it was all Leviticus was written after David, because we know that it wasn't written by Moses. Moses never existed. There's historical consensus on that. Sorry, Ron, if you're there. But yeah, so maybe he didn't. But there's also another potential couple in the Bible. Now, who's heard of the Book of Ruth?
Oh yes, Ruth.
yeah, Ruth.
So Ruth and her mother-in-law, there was a lot of implications there. So I think we potentially got our, I think it's widely thought that that they were a couple. It's certainly implied. It's that they kissed goodbye and they clung to each other. And where are we? So Ruth and Naomi it was. So some interesting things. So I think we do have some lovely couples in the Bible. So anyone else got any couples in the Bible? Or
one of the things about saying that, as far as lesbian relationships in the Bible, the multiple wives of husbands were expected to pleasure each other when the husband was not available anyway.
Makes sense.
So you can't say that. Oh, you can. You know.
Well, I mean, I've known a couple girls that went to an all-girls school. So you put a bunch of women that are only allowed to basically be around each other in a giant palace, and it's just going to happen.
Well, I mean, okay, so if we're talking about, not to be obvious here, but let's talk about the most famous cuckold of the Bible, Joseph. You know. I mean, possibly the most famous in all of history. So, just saying.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're saying he was cucked. Does that mean that God made him watch?
Oh, absolutely. That's why he had the dreams of it. They weren't really dreams. He just he just said there were dreams because he didn't want to admit to having to sit in the corner and watch the whole thing.
So you think he was tied up on the chair while God's going, yeah, this is your missus. Look what I'm doing.
Who's your daddy?
Absolutely. Sam's got it right. Who's your daddy?
That's just not right.
Yeah,
Literally.
whilst Gabriel broke him in, hey.
Ooh. The exciting thing.
Doorknob head said that's why Joseph had a donkey.
You know what?
Oh, so that explains it. The donkey in the
there we
ark. Yeah.
The literal ass.
I'm just gonna say Doorknob Head is coming up with some absolute zingers tonight. I mean, Doorknob Head is on fire. I mean, this is good. But I mean, how obvious is it? It's she shows up pregnant. Fiance goes, well, hang on, it wasn't me. And she goes, God did it. And he goes, oh, cool, no problems.
Yeah, he's just totally okay with that.
He didn't straight off, did he? He had to get visited by an angel first. So what
true.
did the angel do?
True.
See, I would stick with it.
That was
It
just
was
like
Joseph
her
all
best-
along.
I was gonna say maybe that was like her best friend who hung outside his window. Like, I really need you to just like pretend to be God's messenger. Can you do that? It was just like outside the window, Joseph. You know what I mean?
It's me, God.
So what you're saying is Joseph was very, very gullible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's
think
got
that's
this
even a question.
hot teenage wife, so how much can you really question? So, how old was he? He was super old, right?
Yeah, but I think she was only like 13, which I guess it's probably bordering on middle aged in biblical times. But
That's true.
Vandalia brings up a very good point. Jesus in his teenage years running around to Joseph saying, "Oh, you're not my real dad. You can't tell me what to do."
Dave said so. Joseph took the family to Tijuana after they went on the run.
I did see that, but I don't get the reference.
Donkeys.
Okay.
Donkey pose.
On a donkey show.
Good.
That's a terrifying image.
Isn't that from Clerks? Isn't it?
Well, it was
That
in
whole
Clerks,
Clerks
but
too.
donkey shows are actually a thing. I lived in Arizona.
I
so-
know that, but the main reference that most people know would be from Clerks.
Yeah,
The second Clerks. Yeah.
the second one.
You can just imagine Joseph there going, "All right, she's pregnant. Jeez, I hope no one ever finds out about this." 2,000 years later, here we are, still laughing at him.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Do we even really hear that much from him after after Jesus is born?
Yeah, he's mentioned, and that's about it. It's mostly his mother that's mentioned. Maybe Joseph ended up stoned for being lewd with a donkey.
Maybe.
Quite possibly. It's
Or
there
he
could have
was
been a lot of
stoned
things.
when he was lewd with the donkey.
He just got, had to find some outlet to his pain,
And Doorknob Head with another zinger there. Gilfs. That's very, very good. Very, very good. Oh dear. So all right. So that's some of the great couples of the Bible that we love. Now let's move away from the Bible because the Bible sucks. I think we can all agree with that one. The Bible sucks.
I don't know. That's probably the best Sunday school lesson I've ever had.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? This is probably the one time that I can, even though it's not really in context, bring up my favorite biblical verse, which is Ezekiel 23:20. There she lusted after her lovers with genitals like those of a donkey and a mission that flowed like that of a horse.
How do you just know that off the top of your head?
Because it's brilliant.
Because it's the greatest. Well, I mean,
that's true.
I did study theology and ministry, so I have to have something out of that. If it's just the one naughty verse, but even you have a look at
that's not the one naughty verse. See, my favorite
No.
was when I was 15.
Like I said, the Bible was the porn of its day.
Yeah, and I know it was referenced earlier, but
you can't tell me those priests weren't
Jen!
Damn it.
But when I was 15, finding the Song of Solomon and finding the verse specifically that said her breasts were like twin leaping gazelle, and I'm like, yes, bouncing tits. That's the Bible. Thank you very much.
To be honest, the way the Bible is written and the allegory around the sex and even the cheesy, of relationships, it actually reminds me of a really bad romance novel. Just like you're also expected to follow what the main character says.
We need to have a new version of the Bible with one of those, the covers of romance novels. Who would we cover that? With
Fabio as Joseph on the cover.
Oh, no, I see it, Jesus and Lucifer. Like that would be the wrap up from the start to the end.
Power couple is it? Jesus and Lucifer is the power couple.
Yeah.
Maybe they could have Fabio playing God with Mary there, and Joseph sort of sitting in the background going.
Yes.
I just like those big
love triangle of
flowing hair.
Oh yeah. Wearing their best colourful robes, It's all
no robes, just glistening, oiled up muscles, and
you thought about this way too
the
much.
Shirt on, but it's like just barely over their shoulders, and their chest is open to the world. Just saying. Not that I've read any of those ever.
No, it's clear that you have absolutely no knowledge or understanding of it. So that was apparent in your comment there. So so tell me what your favorite one is again. Sorry, Amanda.
Shut up. Well, I mean, like I said, I grew up Catholic, so that was my porn when I was like 12 years old. So
when we
exactly
when we cleared out the garage when I was like 14, I think we found no, it wasn't the garage, it was the attic. We found crates full of my great grandmother's romance novels, and they were all nurse-based romance novels. It was like,
is she a nurse?
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to ask. No, she didn't work. She was a homemaker. She didn't like have a career. My great grandfather was a baker, in Pasadena, but no, it was like hockey, hockey nurse, whatever. I forget. One of them she was literally like a nurse that worked on hockey players. Was one of the novels, and it was like a whole series. It was really bizarre.
The insight into her life there, though, her sex life. Just saying, not out there.
Hey, I'm not sure if she was just into nurses. Maybe she was just into nurses. I don't know.
That's what I think. I think she was totally into nurses.
Yeah, totally.
Screw the hockey player.
All right, guys. I've got to disappear for 1 second here because I've just got one of my kids is about to walk in. So I'm just going to go off stream. I'm going to let you guys continue to talk. So carry on without me for a second.
Jay's in charge.
Yeah, I second that. Jay's good at being in charge.
What's your favorite romance novel, Jay?
My favorite romance novel? The Vampire Lestat.
Oh.
So you brought up Anne Rice earlier. You really are an Anne Rice fan, though.
Actually,
I
Anne's
like
was
Anne
the one
Rice
that brought up Anne Rice.
I was the one that brought up Anne Rice. That chick has
okay.
deep issues. She is. Oh my God, does she hate her own femininity and women in general, and just like every single fucking thing she writes is about some woman who gets abused and loves it. That chick needs some therapy.
Admittedly, though, I used to know the movie Interview with the Vampire by heart when I was younger. Like, if I watched it today, I can remember almost all of it. So, just saying. Do you know that? Well, I'm sure Jen has some pretty good romance novels she's delved into back in the day. So
I actually haven't read many romance novels. To be honest, I spend most of my time either reading science fiction, science fantasy, or scientific papers. So,
wait, at least 2 out of 3 of those can have romance in them.
Yeah, they have had.
Obviously not the science fiction because that's all Star Trek and stuff. But
well, you do get romance in science fiction.
Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of a good one.
Johnny Goodboy Tyler and Chrissy. That's a good one.
Sorry?
I said Johnny Goodboy Tyler and Chrissy.
Yeah,
nobody, nothing.
Nah.
Battlefield Earth.
But I haven't read the book. I've only
No,
read it.
wow. Okay.
Oh no, you got to read the book. Is so good.
I know I should read it, but I haven't read it.
It was L. Ron Hubbard's second greatest work of fiction, I believe. Right after Scientology. Hail Xenu. I dig at Scientology. How can I not take it? Actually, well, sci-fi couples, you tend to get a few here and there, but I guess there's not a lot of love in sci-fi. I guess
Hey, Padme and Anakin, is that technically a sci-fi couple?
Well, if you're talking about it from TV, I think Delenn and what's his name from Babylon 5?
Sheridan.
Yeah, Sheridan. Thank you.
Jen, see,
Kirk
this is
and
why
Spock.
I love you. Kirk and Spock is a good one. Yeah, that's
Kirk and
that's
Picard. OTP.
I love that.
Well, I mean, of course, there's Leia and Han Solo. I mean, that's
Yeah,
Leia.
but they're torn apart in the Disney.
Luke and Leia. Yeah.
Well, the Disney
one.
Star Wars
Five
is not
people.
Star Wars. Sorry, it just isn't. It's not.
I don't know. I like the last one.
I don't know. The Mandalorian is really good.
Oh, can we
The
not?
Oh, yeah.
So good. I will go with the
not a good-
Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is the only thing since the original trilogy that feels like it belongs with the original trilogy. Even the prequels don't feel like they are part of the same movie franchise, in my opinion. Not quite like the Mandalorian. I mean, the Mandalorian just flows perfectly with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does actually. It feels Star Wars. It feels very Star Wars.
It does.
Captain Jack and everyone. That's a good one. I also saw Commander Riker and his one night stand of the week. So Sheridan Delenn. That's the Babylon 5. That definitely gets a mention.
Sheridan and Delenn is an epic love story.
What about Kirk and just whoever happens to be the hottest extra on that particular episode?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Human
I know
alien.
that. I'm
He
not
doesn't
a
care.
Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
It's he was a little bit of a randy bugger, the old Captain Kirk, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Kirk was basically, I'm gonna destroy your religion, beat up your greatest warrior, and screw your hottest chick. Now, goodbye.
and now I'm off. See you later. It was like he was a product of the 1960s or something, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not the 23rd century.
He was a
but,
real man.
actually, here's a good one: Rose and the 10th Doctor. That was an epic love story for those who are Doctor Who fans. That was, I was a bit jealous, because I was madly in love with Billy Piper there for a long time.
And when they said that they wanted to do a female Doctor, one of the first things I thought of is, they really should have just given the Doctor's daughter her own spin-off show. I mean, there's literally a female Time Lord already in existence. Why not give that character?
But I don't have a problem with what they've done.
No, I don't have a problem with it.
I think Jodie Whittaker is excellent as the Doctor. I've got two issues with Jodie Whittaker so far. The first season wasn't as good in the writing, but I think they've improved it this season for her. Except for that stupid ass episode which turned into the planet happens to be Earth. That was fucked up and ruined a really nicely written episode.
Well, Scummer said Adama and Roslin, but what about Apollo and Starbuck?
In the new version.
True.
Yeah,
Even in the old version.
Hang on. Ansgar was trying to get something out there.
I have no problem with Jodie Whittaker. I have no problem with the idea of doing that to the Doctor. I just think that it would have been a better story you can even use Jodie Whittaker because Time Lord's regeneration. You don't have to use the same cast. It just would have been so cool to see that character get her own unique. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with you on that. I think that could have worked well. The only issue I have with Time Lords changing sex when they regenerate is that how does that really work for them as a species with reproduction?
Well, actually, what bothers me about it is they've never done anything. Okay, the idea of a species that can be any sex, they can change sex with that kind of regeneration. We should have seen at some point some idea of the Time Lords, especially the Doctor himself, having no real concept or real attachment to the idea of sex or gender. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like those words would almost feel hollow in their language because
that was shown though during Tom Baker's era.
A little, a certain degree.
I mean, you've got to allow for the time when the shows were written in. I mean, if they'd done, even though it was talked about having a female doctor back during when Tom Baker talked about leaving, it was actually talked about doing it then, and they didn't think the public would cope with it then, so it was pushed off. It was one of the reasons they did that whole thing with Romano trying on different looks when she regenerated, just to see what people thought of the weird idea. The Time Lords could basically be anything when they regenerated. So it was talked about. It was done in books, but not done on the television. So the idea had been there for a long time. It's not something new that Moffat and Chibnall drew up out of nowhere. It was there within the fandom and within the greater Doctor Who mythos.
So I for one, I was quite happy. I was quite happy when they actually announced Jodie Whittaker because I thought she was brilliant in Broadchurch. I liked her as an actress.
Oh, she was really good in Broadchurch.
Oh, she was amazing in that. But I just the show itself I feel has sort of been let down. And look, I struggle. I think anything after Tennant, and Matt Smith was awesome, but anything after Tennant, I think has a high mantle to live up to.
Yeah, Tennant was amazing.
I think they've all been awesome in their own way. Having said that, the problem they have at the moment is back in Classic Who, having lots of companions could work because you had multiple episodes and a lot more time to build story rather than action. So you could have a large number of companions wandering around with the Doctor. Modern Who is 45 minutes an episode, and you don't have time to develop enough character with 3 companions. That is the biggest problem Jodie Whittaker's got. The stories spend too much time on the companions and not enough time on the story. And this is a problem with having that many companions. If she'd had 2 companions or 1 companion, it would have been fine. And I think they could have done that quite easily. Yeah, I think it would have worked really well, maybe with 2.
I think the problem is they always have the stereotypical roles. You've got the strong female and the goofy male, and they've done that. They've sort of had that going for quite a while now, and it almost becomes too obvious.
Part of their problem was that this was part of their problem was when they decided to cast Jodie as the Doctor. They thought they might need more male presence in the companions to make up for the lack of strength in the characterization. And I'm like, well, you've just defeated your whole point of having a female Doctor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you've gone, we're not sexist and we're going to do this because it's progressive, and then be totally not progressive about it at all. I find that really two-faced.
My big issue, I had 2 issues with the Jodie Whittaker thing. One was I haven't found her compelling, and it's not her. It's just the direction they've taken the show. She's goofy and silly and quirky, but one of the things I've always loved is when doctors really are able to show that inner darkness. You know what I mean? That darker side that this just kind of looms beneath the surface. And I haven't seen that from her. And I don't know. I just don't feel a whole lot of depth.
I disagree. You have seen that a bit there now. But I mean, you didn't always get that in Classic Who.
You didn't. I'm not saying that I've liked every Doctor.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever saw that in Peter Davidson. And I love Peter Davidson as the Doctor. I'm not sure you actually got that with Sylvester McCoy either.
Okay.
You certainly got goofy and you got over the top, and I loved it about him, but I don't think you got the dark. They hinted at the dark behind him, but not.
I think though that I mean, you've got to look at Doctor Who as 2 distinct eras. You've got the pre-reboot, so I think from Eccleston onwards. And then you've got pre-Eccleston and post-Eccleston, and I struggle. The old ones I watched when I was a kid, and they're okay and a little bit silly, but I think from Eccleston onwards, that's when Doctor Who really restarted for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
I still see it as a
And
continuation. I do not see it as a soft reboot or anything.
Well,
like
it's
that.
definitely a continuation,
The
but I
same
guess
thing, it's
the
same
storytelling.
doctor, it's-
And the second thing I was going
change.
Okay.
the second thing that I really didn't like is I wish these companies in general would learn to stop trying to make it. If you don't want it to be a big deal, right? If you want it to be just like, hey, we're casting a woman in the role, don't try to make it a big deal and about, oh, look, it's a female doctor. Just be like, Jodie Whittaker's the next doctor, and it's going to be awesome. And let people fucking spurg out, let people freak the fuck out, and just ignore them. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, just ignore them. Sorry. We think she's the best person for the role because she's got these traits, and that's the direction we're going with this doctor, because she can be, quirky and fun and whatever, because that's our creative vision for this doctor, because everybody kind of puts their own stamp on the doctor, just like everyone puts their own stamp on James Bond. You know what I mean? These are kind of iterative characters, really.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
The Daily Atheist said this is starting to sound like a Sci-Fi Saturday.
Jen.
It's my fault. I'll take the blame.
Only a few hours for me, and it is Saturday, so there you go.
Yeah.
So maybe this can be the big lead-in. We'll run for 24 hours, and then Sci-Fi Saturday can kick off after that. What do we say?
I'm going to need a lot more. I don't know what.
A lot more everything, but it's interesting when we look at some of the modern love stories that we find, and we do see a lot of these modern love stories in in sci-fi and a lot of modern shows, but I often find that now this is going to be a spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Well, you've had long enough, but okay, Rey and Ben. To me, that feels like that just seems lazy. That was a lazy love story. Do you think that there's a lot of love? Yeah, there are a lot of lazy stories.
I haven't seen it yet.
Hang on, Jen.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, it can seem lazy on the surface, but it was built up throughout all 3 movies, though.
I know he tortured her, and it was totally romantic. And then he tried to murder her, and she swooned. It was so well written.
I'm just saying,
would have worked in the Bible.
We look at exactly. We look
it was very biblical.
At Padme and Anakin, who were just kind of, forced together, shoehorned together.
I'm not sure we should be comparing like if you want to look like if you want to say, oh, it was better than, getting over the prequels is not a high bar.
Yeah, that's fair. For story's sake is what I'm saying.
I don't like sand.
Force and rough.
It gets everywhere, sand. That's the problem. You never make love on a beach.
I mean, come on. The prequels were literally, she meets some little kid, and then he grows up into a whiny, petulant, slightly older kid, and she's like, "Okay, let's have kids."
Let's fuck, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ooh, romantic.
There is a theory behind it.
Come on, he groomed him.
Well, actually, the theory is that because he was so strong in the Force, he was projecting that love onto her. And that's why she bounced back, because he had the teenage obsession, and it amplified on her. And that's why she died after he.
Well, that's because Star Wars fans really want to love Star Wars. And so when things like, I hate sand come up, they have to invent shit for why that doesn't, offend.
Nobody hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. So I'll
true.
admit that.
Well, that's the same for any fandom. Doctor Who's exactly the same, as we were talking about before. The number of people who absolutely hate on every new thing that happens in Doctor Who is just amazing. And Star Trek and all the others are the same. I mean...
But to be fair, Orville is the best Star Trek in a long time.
I like Picard. I will admit,
but I do like Orville. So.
Picard is brilliant. I did not like Discovery, but I liked Picard.
I love it all. I love it all. So I thought Discovery was good. It was something different. But Picard, oh my God, that is so good. It is just, it's
Discovery
has
way too many issues for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen Enterprise or Discovery.
Why do like,
apart from the whole Zindi shit, I love Enterprise.
But I'm really digging Picard. It's really good.
I haven't seen Picard, so I don't know. I can't comment on that one.
Sam, you're very quiet down there today. It's unusual.
What's sci-fi. I enjoy sci-fi, but I don't watch a lot of it. I like it, but it's below staying up to date on anime.
I mean,
Sam Bradley talks about
favorite anime love story.
Well, no. I didn't want to get
stuff like that.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the Doctor Who stuff, and then we moved on to Star Wars. But the sci-fi coupling, Lister and Kachansky.
Oh, yeah. That
took a second. Everyone got there. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, because they created the Ouroboros by him being his own father and leaving himself to be found by himself back in history under the pool table, because Lister's his own dad and Red Dwarf before Futurama did it. Sorry, spoilers, but this is like 20 years old. So
yeah.
If you haven't watched it by now, I think bad luck.
Yeah. So Lister had all these daddy issues and stuff, and it turns out he was his own daddy. So it was hilarious.
All right, so let's shift it from sci-fi to comic books and anime. Superheroes. Who were our favorite? No, was that a no from Amanda?
I don't know shit about anime or anything. I'm sorry.
What about superheroes? You've got
my favorite was if you go back to the original comics, Thor and Jane Foster, because Jane Foster was an ordinary human. She was a EMT. And Thor fell in love with like her spirit, and she threw herself. I mean, in the middle of superheroes, and villains who could easily destroy her without much of a thought. She threw herself in the way to save lives, and I thought that was a very, very cool story. I mean, it didn't end in them getting married and having kids and all that kind of crap, but even for the temporary little romance that was there, I really dug it.
That's actually one of the interesting points, particularly with comic romances, is they tend to all end in tragedy because of the serial nature of comics. And funnily enough, that kind of almost makes them more realistic in some ways, because they're not just hey, here's a movie, they got together, happy, there's a wedding, or they're together and everyone's happy afterwards. But comics, there's that constant stress that changes relationships as they go. And, there's very few. I think the only example I can think of where they stay together, I think, is the Fantastic Four, Sue Storm and Reed Richards. I think they're the only two I can think of that are.
What about Lois and Clark?
They've been broken up before. Yeah. They've had Lois die. They've had Superman fall in love other places.
I often think Lois and Clark is very much a case of Superman abusing his position.
Oh,
I mean, how could he not?
And she's in awe of Superman, and Clark uses that to his advantage to get it on with.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you though, I've read a lot of Superman comics, and especially a lot of old Superman comics. Superman, like back in the day, he was a bit of a douche. Like he was a complete douchebag.
Well, I mean, you have to consider the time it was written into.
Oh yeah. It's it's the first ever. Okay, so Action Comics #1. It's it's Clark finally gets the nerve to ask Lois out on a date. Now I'm just going to preface this by saying it's the 1930s. So they go out to a dance, and because he doesn't want to show off his powers, there's some guy who cuts in and goes, "Oh, I'm going to dance with her, fella," and all that kind of stuff. And then they kidnap Lois, and all the while he's just there going, "Oh well, there's more of them than me." So that's where he starts. So, and then even the original time that Supergirl rocks up, first ever relative, she's come, her planet's just been destroyed. She shows up, and you know what he does? He throws her in the orphanage because he's leading the bachelor's life. So Superman was a bit of a dick back in the days.
Yeah.
Good, interesting quote from Godless Scummer. The Joker and Harley Quinn. That is an absolutely seriously abusive relationship that has been glorified.
Yeah.
Although
the real
she
love
has outgrown
story.
it.
Yeah, the real love story that I loved with Harley Quinn was when she sparked a relationship with Poison Ivy. That I thought was genuinely adorable.
Yeah, that's been a cute one for a while. Although there was a recent one where she kind of got a bit rapey on Robin or Nightwing.
Well, no, it wasn't rapey. They were just in bed together. Like, she seduced them, and then Batman,
he was tied up.
well, yes, but by the time Batman got there, he wasn't, and it's like, and he gets there, and he's trying to fumble for excuses, and Batman's eyes are slowly getting more and more narrow. That was great, man. A lot of people complained about that, but it's like, this is a continuation of that campy old cartoon. Chill, people. It's supposed to be fun and lighthearted, Now,
see, I got, if you want to go like movies and stuff like that, one of my favorites was Caesar and Cornelia. Anybody get that reference at all?
Not straight up.
Yes. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You could see, even though it was all CGI, you could see the love he had for her.
Okay, one of the things that bothered me with that, with the Planet of the
Jane too.
There was a love story sort of in Planet of the Apes, the one that what's his name did?
Charlton Heston?
No,
Mark Wahlberg.
It was Mark Wahlberg, where they hinted at this really interesting relationship between him and the ape, and then all of a sudden at the end,
Carter's ape. I never remember what her name was, but
Zira.
That was,
and then at the very end, all of a sudden, it was like, nah, the hot blonde chick.
But that to me was a weird movie where they're all really happy that he's going to go and rewrite history and wipe them all out of existence. It's just like, well,
it was a very weird movie in general, because like the whole ending is like, it felt like the ending was changed at the last moment, because like here he's falling in love with the with Zira, and here at first he's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you guys, I just want to get home, and then he's like, okay, you know what? No, I can't just stand here and do nothing. I'm going to lead the resistance and, help these people. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a ship lands and he's like, I'm going to kiss the blonde girl and fly away. Bye. Like, where did this come from?
And people wonder why there was never a follow-up to it.
Yeah.
I saw Marky Mark and Planet of the Apes, and I thought, this is going to be a winner. This is going to be an absolute winner. And boy, was I wrong. But there was a lot of movies like that in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Well, they try and do a
when
reboot.
Marky Mark was Marky Mark, like before he was Mark Wahlberg.
I remember when he was, back when he was Marky Mark, and he was the Calvin Klein underwear model. Yeah,
Calvin Marky Mark, where he never had
feeling
a
those
shirt
good
on.
vibrations.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Good song, good song from the 90s.
I noticed as you're saying that, you're going, oh yes. I'm wondering if a teenage Amanda might have had some Marky Mark posters up in her room.
I had all those Teen Bop magazines with pictures of him shirtless,
Yep.
Good outfit.
He was. What was that movie where he played the rock musician? He was really fucking hot.
No,
Rockstar.
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 Yeah. He was very fucking hot in that film.
Yeah,
that was a cool movie too.
Yeah,
it was.
Boogie Nights was actually pretty good too.
Plus,
it was a
Boogie
decent.
Nights was awesome.
Yeah,
it was a pretty decent having
movie.
a huge. Just
All right,
at the end, yep.
So you guys want to know my favorite love story from sci-fi?
Absolutely.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla and Mothra.
Oh, I just watched that not too long ago. That was such a good movie.
It was so fucking good. What I love, they captured the classic Toho Godzilla movie in a modern movie with complete with the classic music and everything. It was so fucking good. And honestly, I actually was emotionally moved when I was very impressed that they were able to give these kaiju, these monsters, so much emotion and so much passion. And that's very difficult to do with non-speaking creatures that are, giant battle tanks essentially. And the moment that Mothra actually like sacrificed herself to basically juice up Godzilla and give him the power to win and stuff and protect him, I thought that was actually a really emotionally moving moment, and a difficult one to make emotionally moving. Like it's difficult to attach an audience to such a non-personified creature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my favorite line in that whole movie is when he comes back from after the spoiler alerts, the nuclear explosion, and the one guy goes, Godzilla looks jacked.
Yeah. Serizawa's got that lizard juiced. Yeah.
That was so good. Now, just looking at the chat, there's some DBZ stuff going on, and I like Sam just commented that Videl and Gohan was relationship goals in high school.
NZ.
NZ. Yeah.
Because Gohan would have been about my age at that point as well. So I was like, oh, cool. He's hanging out with a girl and it's not awkward or gross. Awesome.
Yeah, but then he went with, Saiyan Man. So,
hey, Saiyan Man was cool.
Yeah.
And, it was just a phase. So he grew out of it. And,
I think that was more to do with the we need more the Ginyu Force kind of action going on.
I never ever got into Dragon Ball Z.
Hey.
My favorite relationship in Dragon Ball Z, though.
By any chance? Just wondering.
What was that?
Did any of you guys have sex in high school by any chance?
At the high school or whilst in high school?
Whilst in high school.
Yes.
Amazingly, yes.
I was in my most devout stages from 13 to 21.
Yeah, see, I watched Dragon Ball Z afterwards, so.
So, if anything, it had nothing to do with Dragon Ball Z, so.
But but in DBZ, my favorite relationship was Master Roshi and Bulma.
What, rape? Not rape, assault.
I never had sex.
Master Roshi is such a pervert.
Amanda's just sitting here going, there is no way that these guys ever had sex in high school, or possibly even now.
Yeah.
Hey. See all that? I'm a married man, and I still get my toys.
So
I have 7 grandkids, so...
If we're gonna go anime, I'd have to go Garibaldi and Boccia from Outlanders.
Haven't seen Outlanders. Look, I don't want to get too deep into it because it's an obscure anime compared to DBZ, but there's a series called Bakemonogatari, and there's a relationship in it between the two main characters, Senjo Gahara and Araragi, and it's one of the most genuine relationships because they just talk shit to each other, and like it's not lovey-dovey, it's not... Like they get together in like episode 2, and then the series is more about their day-to-day relationship with supernatural elements throughout the background story and vampires and stuff. But it's a good relationship because it's not about getting together; it's about sustaining it and about understanding each other and talking and working through problems and jealousy and
That's actually I like you to bring that up. For those of you who might not know, I am working on a comic, and that's one of my goals with the relationships that I have in the comics is not to do the typical serial thing of, will they, won't they constantly, oh, look, a new will they, won't they, oh, look, a new will they, won't they, but instead to get actually into some really deep, relationship, I guess stories and how people deal with certain things. And, I think that makes for more engrossing characters, more real, visceral characters that, because relationships, no matter how much you're in love, are difficult. There's some real, and anything that happens. I mean, I can't imagine being something like a superhero where you're, sometimes the fate of the world is on your shoulders. That stress not bleeding over into things like relationships. That's just unfathomable to me.
That's what I like about the relationship between Tony Stark and Pepper Potts in the movie. I think that's an awesome relationship. There, one you see all the troubles in it, and you see how they grow closer, and how Tony matures, and then at the end when he's gone, it is actually a really sad. Sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
It is a really.
They're bringing him back anyways, so
sad moment.
I was going to say DC actually did an interesting concept about 12 months ago called Heroes in Crisis, where basically what it was a bunch of heroes who had just been through so much, and they had terrible PTSD, and they were actually all in, like, they took them to a place where they were all dealing with it and dealing with the psychological issues of what they have to do. And especially the Wally West Flash, he was an integral part. Harley Quinn was in there, Booster Gold, and how they're dealing with all these issues. So it was actually, there are some things where comics are starting to mature. DC are doing a really good job with a lot of that stuff at the moment, I'm finding.
Sam brought up a good point about a couple giving each other shit. Like, not to compare my kid and myself to couples, but that's how our relationship kind of works. I know those of you who follow us on Twitter or follow me on Twitter can see that. That's how we kind of show our love for each other, is just constantly giving each other shit. And I think that's kind of more real than the, constant adoration and bullshit that you can find with couples that is just, it's so stale. And I get that.
It gives like the impression that the hard part about a relationship is getting into it, whereas really the work is in maintaining it and keeping it like fresh. Mm-hmm. And too often media is focused on get the girl, because patriarchy and stuff, and only recently that's sort of changing a little bit. But I'm sort of sick of that. So
dangerous. He says Deadpool and Vanessa.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on from imaginary stuff, and I'd love to hear some real world dating horror stories. So who's got a juicy one? We'll throw over to. I'm going to throw to Jay first on this one.
I had the only real horror story I got, other than my ex-wife. I'm not going to go there. I probably my sophomore year, I started dating this girl. We were together for about a week, and she had to break it off because her parents found out I wasn't Christian.
Oh.
And which kind of sucked, because in the cul-de-sac we lived in, because I was in a Navy brat, she lived like literally, I walk out my front door, walk across the street to her front door.
Oh, jeez.
And when she had to break it off, she couldn't talk to me ever again. So that's probably about the, other than my ex-wife, that's probably the worst horror story I got.
We all got a good ex story, don't we? But what about you, Amanda? Any bad dates? Tell us about a date that just went horribly wrong.
Oh God, I went out with this guy. I had met him, like grocery shopping or something, and he asked me out. I don't usually just go out with a stranger like that, but he seemed pretty nice. He was very handsome. So he came and picked me up that night, and we went to this bar, and he just right away, first of all, worst kisser ever. Like, weirdest, like he just kept like wanting to smash his face up against mine, do this weird thing with his tongue. It was gross. So I excused myself to go to the bathroom, and he like followed me in there. He's like, "What, you didn't want me to come in here with you?" I was like, "No." So, I was like, okay, well, I guess the date's over. So I had him take me home. Like, he decided he wanted to stop off at a restaurant on the way home. He just had to eat. Made up this excuse for it. So, like, fine. We went in, got food really quick. I was like, okay, it's time to go home. On our way out to the parking lot, he decided he needed to sit on this bench and continue to paw at me, just like in the grossest way. And I was like, okay, like I'm trying to be nice about it, but I'm like, get the fuck off me, dude. Then so finally I get him to, we're heading to the car, and he literally just not shoved, but like he opened the back door and was like, let's go sit back here. And I'm like, no, I just,
smooth.
And so he just kind of like nudged me back in there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit back here. I closed the door on his face, was like, drive me home. Finally, he drove me home, but then proceeded for almost 2 months after that to text me every day, ask when we were going out again, and tell me he loved me. I was
wow.
Oh, I hate that.
So that was probably the worst date ever.
So maybe on a stream somewhere else, he's talking about the best date ever, and he's just like, "This girl, she was amazing. I fell in love with her straight away." And
Pretty
It's
much.
gonna happen.
That got away.
Totally was the best kisser ever. Like, but I think the kissing thing was like, because that was how it started. Because he just did this thing with his tongue. It was so fucking weird. So.
Oh dear! I think Danger Hissy's brought up a good point. A lot of red flags there. A lot of red flags.
And I'm like, I mean, I know I come off as kind of a mouthy bitch, but I tend to just take it from people and I just try to be really sweet about it. So I didn't want to embarrass him, but it was like, dude, stop! He wasn't even like he was obvious about it. Just like.
I'm just saying that mouthy bitches are the best bitches. Just
I think so
be
too.
mouthy. Yeah.
So, yeah.
No arguments. No arguments. What about you, Sam? When have you ever had an experience where you took a lady on a date, kissed her strangely, and told her you loved her after one date? Or
Yeah, and on the way back, we stopped at a restaurant and had to pick up some.
hang on a second. Have you ever been to the US, Sam?
Yeah, it was over in America now. I've had time to think about this. Look, probably the worst was like a really compact relationship where you meet a girl at a party and there's drinks involved, and then you decide to go and cook them dinner at their place, and their place is in the next city up. So I'm in Brisbane. She was on the Sunshine Coast. About a 2-hour drive.
Well, hang on. That should have been the first flag.
Hey, thirsty 22-year-old Sam, willing to make a trip. So this, it lasted for about a week, and then I remember making a teriyaki chicken one night, and she's like, "Oh, look, I think we should break up." I'm like, shit. All right, where's my mate? Pick me up, because I don't drive, so obviously a mate was kind enough to drive me down. But then waiting for him to arrive, and then, all right, see you later.
That would have been an awkward couple of hours.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, she just sat on the phone. It was funny because she was really into LiveJournal as well. And yeah, it was a weird time in my life because this was at the same time the party was actually at a mate's place, and this was the time in your life when there's that one house and 4 or 5 guys all live there, and all the parties are there. Everyone goes there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and just drinks. And one of the guys' mums moved in. Like, obviously, she had some shit going on in her life as well, and it was just one of the guys started dating her. It was weird. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
it's pretty tame. Like, I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to dating and stuff because my dates don't go too bad usually. So at least from my side. So
somewhere on another stream, there's a woman going, "Oh, this Sam guy. He came all the way up to the Sunshine Coast, and I couldn't get rid of him."
There's definitely someone that probably has some words to say about me, but it's not a bad date. It's more of a toxic Christian relationship stream. So.
Oh yeah, Christian dating, that's fun. Jen, what about you? Give us one of your classic Auntie Jen dates.
Worst date. I got set up by some friends with a guy I hadn't met. So blind date as far as I was concerned. First flag shouldn't be in. He didn't offer to pick me up. He didn't offer. He asked me to come to his place and we'd leave from there. And that should have been a red flag from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I know that doesn't sound like a big deal to you guys, but it really it is.
It would never occur to me to say, "Hey, meet me at my home on our first date" when you've never met me. That would never occur to me.
No.
I should have just gone out. But I have friends who knew him, so I figured I was safe.
Yeah, true.
So I get there, his place is a fucking mess, and as in empty fucking wrappers and takeaway food stuff every fucking where. And he goes, "I've ordered some pizzas for us, and I've got a couple of videos for us to watch."
Oh.
And I go, "I'm sorry, I just thought I'd drop in on the way. I've got to go and see some family." And to tell the laptop.
That's a quick one to get out of.
Oh, that was dreadful. It was like, oh my god, how could I had words with my friends afterwards. How the
Like-
fuck could
like-
you do that to me?
And I will come back to that's actually got me a good topic, and I'm going to throw over to Ansgar to give us one of his horror stories. But I want everyone to think about in the meantime classic excuses you can use to get away from a bad date. So Ansgar, give us one of your tell us about a bad date you've been on.
Okay. So this might sound weird, but I've never been on dates in that kind of sense. Like the only people I've ever dated have been friends. Friends that's just like we got romantically close and we ended up in a relationship. And none of them ever went nightmare. I mean, they went. I've got exes and things went bad, but they never went nightmare. So I will tell a funny story about how my wife and I got together that will put some I find it rather amusing. I literally was the babysitter. So I was watching her kids when we first met. I had basically started doing some tabletop role playing with her ex, her husband at the time, and I ended up watching the kids, basically being their almost every day sitter. And then when they got divorced sometime, I shouldn't say divorced, when they split up, few months after that we started dating. But yeah, I was literally the kids' babysitter.
That's a good one. Well, I guess it's easy introduction. So
yeah.
Well,
and she already knew I was good with the kids, so
You knew their routine as well, so
yeah.
that works.
And eventually I ended up the house husband. She went to work so that I could pursue first of all, I was better with the kids. So I was the stay-at-home dad and the housemaker, and it allowed me to be at home and pursue my artistic interests. So it all worked out.
Well, I'll throw one of my more interesting ones, and it's a second date technically. So I met this girl, Kathy, and she seemed nice. We met at a party. Everything's good, all going great. Organised to go to another party the next week, and she's sort of on the phone every day calling, and I'm 18 at the time. She's the same age. Everything. Yeah, she seems nice. I'm getting some massive background noise from someone there.
Me, probably. Sorry. I'm almost done. Sorry. My bad. I'm done sitting.
That's a metal plate in her head.
So anyway, we've gone to this party. It was friends of mine from school, and everything sort of it started off okay, but then she got really clingy and started to get a bit weird, and started sort of just I'd be talking to like friends of mine who are female, and she'd sort of be, what's going on here? Who's that? And I just it's like a friend of mine. We've only just met. Like, chill out. Anyway, it got to the point where I had to say to her in the end, look, I'm going to call a taxi for you. Everyone's sort of a bit uncomfortable. This isn't working. I'm really sorry. It was good to meet you. But and I didn't want to do it at the party, but it was getting to the point where she was becoming a problem. In the middle of the party, she goes, no, you're not breaking up with me. I'm not letting you break up with me. I'm in love with you. We're in love. We're going to get married. Yes, we're getting married. We're engaged. All in the one breath. And I'm just there going, holy shit.
Run.
The entire party just stops with everyone sort of there looking, going, and I'm thinking, okay, am I going to get out of this alive? So anyway, we called the taxi. She threw a tantrum. The taxi driver wouldn't let her in, and then one of my friends offered to drive her home very bravely, and apparently the whole way she was hitting on him in the car. So yeah.
So
Kathy
at what
like
point
that.
did your fight or flight instinct kick in? Just curious.
Oh, look, we've been married for 20 years now, so
Oh,
no, that's not true, because people know I'm married to Liz. No, that was basically as soon as she started doing because essentially it's the second time we've been out, and we'd gotten on the phone really well. I thought she was a pretty cool chick. This is going all right. Everything's cool. I had the party on, and I was comfortable enough to take her somewhere on a second date where it was friends. But as soon as she started going, because I have a lot of like male and female friends. And as soon as she started sort of going like, who's that? And I mean, we're talking female friends who are there with their partners at the time, and just who's that? You know, what's going on there? Why is she looking at you like that? It's just like, whoa, hang on. This is, what do I do here? And even to the point, a few of my friends just said, mate, she's a bunny boiler, get rid of her. So,
Bunny boiler, like that.
oh yeah. So I guess moving on, what are some good and probably more so for the ladies here, I would imagine. Give us some of the classic lines you've used to get out of a bad date, you know, or the excuses that you've thrown, just so I can take a note for if I ever need them in the future when Lissy gets sick of me.
Well, I mean, having a kid is always good. In fact, whenever I go on a date, my son will either text or call me at certain intervals to give me, you know, a chance to leave. So that's always the perfect excuse. I don't know. What about you, Jen?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. What was the question?
Excuses.
I apologize. No, I'm actually trying to keep track of something else, and I was trying to figure out when I can take my next dose of Ventolin. So.
Well, we're looking for a classic excuse to get out of a bad date.
Oh, I think I gave one, didn't I?
I'm sorry, I don't like you, and just walk away.
Yeah, no, there's a family thing, and I have to go to it. That was pretty much what I gave him, and I did. I turned around, walked straight back to my car, and left.
One of my favorites I heard, it was actually from another friend. He said he got out of a date one time, and he goes, "Just to be straightforward, I got herpes."
Oh, brilliant!
A, B, or C.
So 90% of the population. So.
Well, I reckon I could use that, and if I did use that, I reckon it would probably scare a few of the wrong type of people off. So why not?
True.
What about you, Sam? When you're fighting off the ladies, what do you have to say to them?
One of the excuses I did actually use once was I have to catch a flight tomorrow morning.
That's good one.
That sounds incredible.
Well, I mean, it was very specific to that time and place, but yeah, like I was literally flying to Japan the next morning. I was like,
I'm gonna get a flight. Sorry. Sam?
Well, I suppose it was inevitable, wasn't it?
Have you ever done this one, Amanda? When you're out with with your girlfriends having a night, and guy comes up and tries to put the hit on you, and you go, "Oh no, I'm sorry, you'd have to ask my girlfriend, and she's not into threesomes."
There'd probably be a few people who would go, "Challenge accepted."
Yeah, there are.
That's the problem.
A lot of some guys will back off at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I go both ways, so you know it would be fine.
Yeah, well, I'm the same. I consider myself pan, so
yeah, me too.
I get attracted to people for the people they are, not because of what's between their legs or anything. That's irrelevant to me.
Exactly. In fact, I was a unicorn one night. I got approached by a couple and probably just went way too X-rated. So shut up now. Next.
I've only ever had a threesome once, and it was with two guys, and I never do that again because it's way too much work.
I imagine it would be. Yeah, I guess you are going to be the focal point, aren't you?
To do everything, so I'm like, I'm not doing this again. It was my boyfriend at the time's idea, and he wanted another guy. So I'd have two guys because he thought that I would enjoy that more, knowing that I'm pan. I'm like, how the hell did that work in your brain?
Yeah. Excuses.
So he wasn't necessarily a smart ex-boyfriend of yours.
No. He definitely wasn't that. So yeah, I don't particularly like threesomes. I prefer one-on-one. I think it's more intimate than group sex. So.
JustSouthern Atheist says, "Hell, in Alabama, all I have to do is say I'm atheist. Date ends rather quickly."
Yeah, I can attest to that living in Georgia. So, yeah.
See, in Australia, you'd probably go the other way and go, "Well, yeah, look, this is really nice, but what I really want to do is tell you about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He loves you."
Oh yeah, that works here. that works.
Yeah, right after sex, say, look, I'm really sorry. I've just got to go and pray for forgiveness and repent of the sin that we've just committed. Would you like to come to church with me tomorrow, and we can discuss it further?
Yeah,
Depends if it was good or bad sex.
I gotta give my priest a ring, so gotta call him up, let him know what we just did here. Yeah.
What about yourself, Ansgar? What do you think would be a good excuse or a good line to get away from a bad date?
I have sciatica. Oh, sorry, my sciatica is kicking in. Oh, it hurts so bad. I'm really, really sorry. I gotta get home. I gotta go. Get a back rub and a leg rub. And trust me, I've been wearing these boots all day. You don't want to get your fingers up in there. Really, I gotta go.
I got a question for you, Amanda, because I'm pretty sure none of the guys would have ever done this. But have you ever asked texted a friend to phone you to make up a fake emergency so you can leave?
Well, that's what you weren't listening. My son does that for me. He will text or call me during a date, like at intervals to he's like, "Do you need to go yet?" He'll give me an excuse to leave. So,
I like that you've made that assumption that none of us guys would have ever done that, because I have done that before. I had it pre-planned.
Really?
That a friend would call me because it was a date with my ex, and everyone told me I was mad, so we had a whole escape plan hatched, and basically it was the phone call was, your brother's he's just been in a car accident. He's okay, but he's a little bit freaked out, so you might want to come home. And I used it, and I got out of that, and I never saw her again, and it was wonderful.
And now if she ever watches this, she knows you're a lying prick.
Pretty much all of my I'll say the term girlfriends is in actually platonic friends, like in high school and college, because they knew I was just I was safe. They always had my number, and I would show up and pretend to be their boyfriend if they got into too much trouble. And so they would rather, so if they got into like real trouble with like a date or something, I would just show up and be like, Lucy, what the hell are you doing here? Who is this? And there'd be we'd fake a small blow up, and she'd I'm so sorry, I've never done this sort of thing before, and then we'd leave. It was kind of fun, actually.
Oh,
that'd be good.
It's sweet, but you gotta feel sorry for the other person.
You kind of do.
From the other side, that'd be a good story where it'd be, so I went on this date. Anyway, then the boyfriend shows up.
Right?
That bitch was crazy.
Exactly.
What about you, Jay? What's a good line to get out of a bad date?
I don't like you.
That is a good one.
That's going to do it every time.
No.
Yeah, I reckon.
Sorry, you're not my type. I'm out.
Yeah, see, I'm too nice for that shit.
I was once not nice. I went on a date with a guy, and he literally smelled like he hadn't showered for a month.
Oh.
And I said, I can't be this close to you. I can't handle the smell.
See, that's a type of nice, though, right? Like it's
I don't think he took it as being nice.
Yeah, but that's different to whether or not it was a good act, to be honest, which
yeah.
I mean, I'm too polite as well sometimes, and I'll just I know there are times where I'd meet someone after chatting online, and it's like, oh, this isn't going to be great, but hey, let's just ride out the night until it's time to catch a train. So
yeah,
you're a gentleman, Sam. You're too much of a gentleman.
Yeah, why aren't there more of you here?
It was never going to work between an opera singer and an ex-rapper. So
I don't know. I mean, Eminem did some opera, didn't he, at one point? Or
I don't know.
Or Dr. Dre always had the orchestra in the background. So
the Hilltop Hoods do the orchestra covers of their albums pretty regularly. So
there you go.
What's the creepiest follow-up you've had to a date?
Me or them?
Anyone.
There's still the same guy that and since he picked me up at my house, I was just thoroughly afraid he was just gonna show up. So that was he didn't, thank God, but the constant "I love you" we were meant to be together. Texting was just so much to handle.
Didn't show up with the boombox out front of your window doing that.
I'll take some Cusack over that, definitely. Yeah, no, none of that. What about you, Jen?
I went on a date with a guy actually last year, and it was nice enough, but there wasn't any real chemistry there between us. And he actually said it first, which I was quite glad of because I hate dumping guys like that and everything. And I go, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. All right, go our separate ways. 2 days later, he phones me and says, "Hey, you want to have some sex?"
Did you?
Fuck.
And
No.
was it good sex?
I mean, sometimes you gotta get laid.
I was like,
No,
no.
you got to do these things sometimes.
Maybe when I was younger. But no.
I'll never forget. Me and a friend of mine, we decided that this one time, and I'll clarify, female friend. We decided this one night because we were just both. We hadn't had any luck for a little bit, and we just decided, you know what, stuff it. At the end of the night, head back, and we're just going to hook up. Anyway, we started to get into it, and you know, then we've just kind of about a minute into it, just kind of paused and sort of looked at each other and just went, no.
Nah.
It was just like, no, it's not.
There are times it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like she was an attractive girl. I was a lot thinner, and I had a little bit less grey back in the day. So, it's sort of, there wasn't any issues there, but it was just we were that familiar with each other, and I'd wingman for her, she'd wingman for me. It was, and then it was.
Plus, you got a face down the line, like, hanging out, looking at each other, being like, I'm naked, just weird.
I've got to say, it was a little bit awkward for about a week after because it was just kind of like, that was a weird night.
Yeah.
Was that weird for you? Because that was weird for me.
It was really weird for me. But, it's, I'm very glad I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. So it's makes life a lot easier.
I was at a party and ended up with sleeping with one of my friends, and her fiance was there, and he sat outside on the front stoop and cried the whole night. So it was bad.
Oh, that's difficult.
I didn't know that she was like engaged or anything. This was news to me. I thought it just happened, and so I walked out there to have a cigarette. This was back, in the early 2000s, I think. And I was like, "Oh, what's wrong, dude?" And he's like, "You just slept with my fiance." I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry."
Can I ask a serious question?
Yes.
What was his name? Joseph? Because a bit of a thing with Josephs.
Yeah, it would make sense if his name was Joseph. I don't remember his name, but yeah, probably.
Do you remember her name though?
Erica Santalucia. She was gorgeous.
Well, Erica, if you're watching, Amanda's here.
You're remembered and he isn't.
Yeah, not at all. In fact, I don't think he ended up getting
wasn't
married
memorable.
anyway. So. No. Yeah, so.
It's funny. It seems like a lot of people have trouble dating like really close or longtime friends. For me, that's actually preferable. Like everyone that I've ever dated has been a friend that I've had for a very long time. I don't know. I find that it just that to me is what an ultimate relationship is. Is a best friend. Yeah, exactly. My wife and I, we've been together for 20 years now. Yeah, 20 years now.
Wow.
And I have never had a day where I'm like, oh man, I just need time away from my wife. Like I need to go out and be with the dudes. There's nothing that this may sound corny, but it's real. There's nothing that I do or I enjoy doing that I don't enjoy doing more with her. And that's just our relationship.
Yeah.
My
my longest relationship was ended up being with he was my best friend. We didn't get together in college. We were best friends in college, and then we found each other again after college, and that was my longest relationship was with him.
How long is your longest relationship? Was?
What?
How long was your longest relationship?
6.5 years.
6
Not
years.
that, not as long as you guys have been married forever.
Oh,
but
no. Well, I'm not married. I've been married, but I'm not married. My longest relationship was for between 6 and 7 years. I couldn't tell you exactly how long it was. And that was with another woman. So
see, there you go.
That's my longest relationship. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just about to clock 13 years, so I'm getting close to my second 7-year itch. So I remind her of that all the time, and she normally slaps me behind the back of the head and says, "Yeah, whatever you think." Then she reminds me that I'm not 20 in my 20s anymore. So, yeah, okay, we'll go with that one. So, Lissy, if you're there, love you, darling. She's spending Valentine's Day working. So. No, it's only a short plane ride to Perth. I mean,
there's a Dom sub dinner in northern New South Wales if you're looking for something to do on the 29th of February. Like just that's
good. So the 20
well, just if you want to get ahead of the itch, tickets are $127 each, or $233 if you come as a couple.
You know a lot about this. So
there was when I was doing more photography in a studio and posting stuff more regularly on Instagram. There was a one of the shoots was kink related. I can't remember what. Maybe it was. I forget exactly. I think it might have been latex or something. And so I tagged it on Instagram. Then I got unsolicited messages from a company in northern New South Wales. It's on the border near Gold Coast. That is like a Dom sub community business location, and I get their newsletter now because I was like, "What the hell is this?" Because it wasn't obvious. It just said number 33. So I'm like, "Okay, send me some more information on what you're talking about from Instagram," and I'm on the mailing list now. And yeah, I just got that email today, so I had to work it in somehow because it was quite funny when I got it.
That's all right. So anyone who wants to meet Sam, February 29th up in northern New South Wales, make sure you're wearing your best
latex.
Black.
It's latex or black tie, and clothes are optional for subs. And if you're a sub, you need to wear a collar.
Wow.
You need to wear a collar.
A collar, yeah.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I've always wanted to go to one of those.
Love comes in all forms.
The Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman movie, the Eyes Wide Shut, the mask. I've always thought that'd be interesting to go to a party like that where everyone's just wearing the mask. No one knows who anyone is. Not for the orgy or anything like that, but I just thought that'd be
okay. Not for the orgy.
Not for the orgy, no, because I'd be worried it'd be someone that I know or something. But
hey, you're lucky to turn into Mask of the Red Death.
I missed that.
Yeah.
And I said, you're lucky to be turned into the Mask of the Red Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Anything could happen. So, yeah.
Boom, derailed.
Things going on the side. Jen, have a quick look in the private chat. I just put something in there a bit earlier. Something. Just a question for you. And
yes,
good.
I think
so. So my wife's with what did I miss?
Submission and domination, and Chris going to check that out on the 20th of February.
So Sam invited me to a Dom sub party. That was fun up in northern New South Wales. It was. That's pretty much it. Yeah, pretty much it. We haven't discussed who's the top and who's the bottom, but we'll work it out. I'm sure
our bodies will communicate. It's fun.
I say like collars. That's just everyday fashion for my wife and I. I mean, this is my wedding jewelry.
Nice.
And knowing that Lissy Lou's driving, she wouldn't have seen what Doorknob had put in the chat there, and she wrote that atheist pastor was gushing about his wife. It was beautiful. So you know what, Doorknob head. You're an honest man, if nothing else, and that's what I admire about you, Doorknob Head. That honesty. It's all fun. It's all fun, isn't it? So we're probably going to wrap it up in around about 10 minutes because we're getting close to that beautiful 2-hour mark, and obviously Daily Atheist will be starting for anyone who wants to go over and check out Daily Atheist. So I don't know if
and especially check it out if you like myself and Chris because we're guesting.
Well,
Oh.
I'm not too sure actually if I am. I think I said I might be able to, depending on how I feel after six pack. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes, because I think he's got scientist Mel on, but
Yes,
not
but
until
she's going to be
an
an
hour
hour
into
late.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he needs someone to fill in for an hour. So but we'll see how. I mean, look, knowing six pack, I mean, we've had 4.5 hour six pack, so we could go longer than Daily Atheist yet. It's every time I say we're going to wrap up soon, that's normally when it really kicks up a gear.
We could have actually offered that to Chris on Daily Atheist as well. We just went longer and people could hang out here before going over. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But then that would require us actually having to commit to going longer. And normally when we say we're going to go longer, we go shorter. And when we say we're going to wrap up soon, we go for 4.5 hours. So,
yeah, well, we've almost got to a point where we're running out of discussion.
yeah, I think there's only so much love you can talk about on Valentine's Day on a live stream, isn't there?
We've moved away to BSDM and other things. So
Hey, that's not love.
What?
It's love for some people, but we're slowly moving off the topic. I mean, we went into science fiction, didn't we? So.
I could talk forever about the subject, but and how, and writing when it comes to love in fiction and stuff like that. But I think I might have monopolized enough of your stream, so yeah.
Oh no, we like having a new voice.
Anything to compete with Jen.
Feeling of love is a drug addiction. The endorphins we release in our brain give us a high, and that's why
here we go with the freaking nerdy talk.
Really?
Bloody-
This is the
bloody
nerdy
stupid.
talk to you when you assholes talked about what? Like comic books and anime?
Hold on, no.
We're talking about
That's
actual science
geeky
now.
shit. That's
Come on, Amanda, we
geeky
can-
shit.
we can
There's a
destroy these
difference.
guys.
There's a difference.
Exactly, and it's classical, literature that we're talking about.
That's
We're trying to lift the discussion, and that's got
Actually,
nothing to do
that-
with the fact that I've got about 30,000 comic books. So
That's a decent question, isn't it? Are comic books classic literature, somewhat classic now, given especially the early ones when you're going back to 1930s?
I would say gold and silver, or silver age, or definitely golden age. Possibly you could make an argument for silver age at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I even think you get some good stories from the even that terrible period known as the 90s. You get some good stuff.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call that
Some-
classic.
I would say that there are certain characters that were at their best in the 90s. Just very specific ones, but other than that, yeah, not
There's
so
also
much.
there's a really, really good adaptations in the 90s for Spider-Man and X-Men. So that would be approaching classics too.
No.
Like, I know they're not comics specifically, but they helped reinvigorate comics that were starting to flag in the 90s.
I'm looking at the look on Amanda's face, and she's going, "Why the fuck did I mention comic books? Why did I do that?
This is all my fault.
You did it. You did it to yourself."
I tried to go down real science, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but you always try to go down real science.
Real science is boring. God.
A
right,
couple weeks ago, Chris, you had listed a show about vampires, but you didn't do it because you were sick. I think we need to do a show about that, because I actually something I'm decent at, and apparently Jay would know too. So I'm in for the vampires.
Oh no! So that wasn't a show about vampires. I just found a funny meme for the thumbnail that had if
why are they afraid?
if God isn't real, then why are vampires afraid of crosses? And it had checkmate atheists. And I just thought that's really funny.
Chris, your clickbait can't write checks that you can't cash for your audience.
Exactly.
Well, it's I am the king of clickbait.
Well, the newest what Netflix Dracula answers that question in the most horrible way possible.
God, that shits me so much about vampire movies is that they can be so bad so consistently.
Yes,
and that makes me so sad.
The Netflix one was literally Nun plays battle therapist for Dracula and gets him to finally accept his death.
That's idiotic.
He's literally
okay.
So basically, in this adaptation, Von Helsing is a nun, okay, and Dracula basically becomes Dracula's therapist, where she has to figure out what his greatest fear is, so that he will just go quietly into death.
See, my favorite Dracula
I need to watch it.
Alucard from Hellsing Ultimate in anime world. Sorry, Amanda.
No.
Because
I love
he is
Alucard.
he is willing to be the pet of like the Hellsing Foundation just because he gets to kill shit, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
My favorite vampire was the leader of the group of vampires from 30 Days of Night.
I still haven't seen that yet. I've heard that's a good movie.
Oh, it's a really good movie. I like the fact they're more animalistic.
Yeah.
My favorite vampires were the ones actually from White Wolf's World of Darkness back in the 90s in the tabletop role-playing game. That was really good.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same, but like I played a lot of Vampire Masquerade.
Vampire
Bloodlines, yeah. And like the fact they've got all those different cabals that were all the different types of vampires, so you could sort of lean into whatever stereotype you prefer.
Yeah, I always played Ventru.
I was the werewolf player. I played Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yep,
but
that
was
I wish I'd played the actual tabletop game.
Well, I'm going to be running a couple tabletop games. I use a over the internet. I use a there's a service. I forget what it's called right at the moment, but essentially it does all of the miniatures for you. So you can you actually have maps, and the line of sight of your miniature is actually programmed in there, so that I create a dungeon and you're moving your token around, and if you come around the corner and all of a sudden there's goblins there or something shit like that. So
is that Roll20?
Yes, Roll20. Yes, I got the little,
I did some D&D online using Fantasy Grounds, and Roll20 was one of the options when I was trying to figure out which one to buy. Which I made the wrong choice. I went with Fantasy Grounds.
Very, very quietly, people. I think we found our dungeon master.
There you go.
No,
there you go.
I think One Ring, wasn't
it? No, I don't think. No, he's refusing to be the DM. My favorite vampire, I think, without a doubt, the greatest vampire ever has to be Edward Cullen from Twilight. Yeah.
Mute.
I knew
End the stream.
Oh, what about Pee Wee Herman's character from the original Buffy movie? Ooh,
That's my favorite death scene ever. Ever. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
But my contribution was going to be, speaking of Buffy, though, is that Whedon knows how to write for the genre, because it's not a show about vampires. It's a show about characters. Character-driven show that just happens to have, some of its characters are vampires. So, I mean, my son.
If you want to go that route, Spike was always my favorite.
Speaking of vampires, I was recently watching the entire X-Files series over again, and one of the things they did doing that now. Yeah, and one of the things they did, I think they did this a year or two ago, and one of the things that they did was they updated all of the episodes to HD and updated them to widescreen format, right? Oh, wow. Well, not all of these things were made for widescreen. So there's one scene where David Duchovny breaks a chair and he picks up a stake to go chase this vampire. And in the widescreen edition, you actually see a grip hand him the stake from what should be off screen. Yeah. So he actually hands it to, oh God, it was so
I got you beat. In the show Angel, there's this scene where they're at this gym and they're in front of this big mirror. So they walk in and you see the shot in the mirror. So you see the group walking, in the mirror, and then all of a sudden it cuts to you see them actually walking, and so you see David Boreanaz walking with them. But they they use the widescreen, and you just see David just standing there waiting for them to walk up and catch up with him. It's so bad.
That's funny. Yeah. Little
what I am going to do, I'm going to quickly put something in the on the screen here, because it's funny we were talking about widescreen conversions and Buffy earlier. So I'm just going to show you guys.
Oh, I think I may have seen this if I know what you're bringing up.
So I don't know how well you're going to see it there, but if it comes up, sorry, I'm running off.
I just want to say I've never, that's the one. I've never actually watched the Buffy show. Yeah. Just wanted to say.
You should. It's very, very good.
Wow.
I'm not really a big fan of college kid shows, Just Never have been.
I know, but I mean, it's not. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of even vampire shows, but my kid is named after one of the characters. That's how much I loved it.
Oh, I know. It was a huge cultural thing when I was, a young adult, and I never got into it. I was just kind of not for me.
Like big on.
I like the spin-off better because, like, Buffy was about growing up, whereas Angel was about just being an adult.
The doorknob had wide Buffy the later years.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah, but Angel's probably got one of the best episodes I've ever seen on TV. That was the puppet episode.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that was so good.
I have a puppet. I have a puppet Angel shirt. I'll find it and I'll tweet it to you later, Jay.
Although, if I'm going to be honest, I prefer the Buffy musical episode.
That was a really good episode.
Oh yeah, that one was good too.
Once More with Feeling.
There's only two TV shows that I think have ever pulled off a musical episode and it actually felt right in the show, and that is Buffy and Scrubs.
No.
Flash and
Supergirl one was pretty good.
Flash and Supergirl did it pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, the Flash and Supergirl one was was really good too. They all had good premises as to why there was a musical episode, and it wasn't just
it wasn't just shoehorned in there.
Scrubs is still one of my all-time favorite shows.
No, you gotta
up until season 4.
Yeah, when people left, it really jumped the shark there at one point, I think.
Yeah,
they left after season.
Is that the season where they had him working at a new hospital or something like that?
No, that's before that. Season 5. So this is obviously personal. Season 4 was the last season where I thought every episode was fantastic. Season 5 included the when Dr. Cox had the christening for his son. So it's when things started to get to the point where, hey, the characters aren't growing; they're just caricatures. And then I think season 6 is when they started to like Elliot got back with JD. Spoilers, and then they moved JD on, and season 4 I was with Scrubs. After that, I kind of don't care about it.
I still enjoyed it, but I guess you're right. The number of decent episodes was diminishing as it went through, but that's not unusual.
Oh, every series does it eventually if they go long enough. Look at Simpsons; they did it at season 7, and they're up to season 30.
Yeah.
Well, the one that seems to have survived, though, and I've actually never watched it, but people rave about it, is Supernatural. Apparently, that's still going strong after all these years.
Yeah, 15 seasons.
I couldn't get past season 2. There was a really early season where they dealt with the demon that got their mum, and then after that, it was war with heaven and hell and shit. And I just lost.
I've seen every episode. We watch it every week. But one thing you talk about
I watched it a couple of seasons ago.
The NCIS is now on their 17th season.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit different, but Survivor has just hit season 40.
40?
Season 40.
What?
Survivor.
Oh.
Are they having multiple seasons a year?
Yeah, they have more than one season.
2 a year.
Okay, that explains things.
It was a novelty when it first came out. Now I can't believe anybody that still watches it. So
I love it. I never miss it.
I still haven't seen an episode.
I actually I came close to getting on the Australian version. So I'm
see that I've watched.
So I had to back out of it though because it was just as my my most recent daughter was kind of very, very young. So it was I didn't end up following through with the rest of the process, but that would have been an interesting thing. I'm still planning on doing it because I have to.
What was that one show? If you want to continue, you have to eat this pig rectum.
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor. Yeah.
Yeah, which was hosted by Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I really like Joe Rogan, but man, that show was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, you get a few like that, and you know that they're absolutely getting psychologists in there to basically work on what's going to get people hyped up.
Yeah.
If it was just a bunch of stunts, I would have been more interested. But it's I'm really not entertained. I'm not really grossed out. I'm just not really entertained by watching somebody eat a pig rectum. It's just well, whatever.
Or get covered in bugs. Gross.
Right.
I just so won that show.
Hey, Art.
Be like, you got to eat this. Okay. You got to eat this too. Not a problem.
It seems like
if I'm going to watch people eating stuff, I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm just gonna watch a video about street food and someone traveling. Like, screw the.
Lay in this box with a bunch of snakes. Okay.
What cracks me up is every time that there's a show with Americans having to eat Vegemite, and you sort of see them cringing at it.
I like Vegemite.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I can't stand it,
because
but I'll eat it. I mean,
It's because these idiots get a spoon and eat the fucking spoon of Vegemite. That's not how you eat Vegemite.
What's
2
wrong with
parts
that?
butter, 1 part Vegemite.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can't eat it straight. Doesn't that tell you something?
No, you can. You can eat it straight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. I mean, I'm just.
Well, I
saying
mean, there's a
it's
lot of things that,
bad.
like, if you go, here's the thing: there's a lot of things that, like, aren't as good, or you wouldn't necessarily want to eat by itself. That once you include it as an ingredient in a meal, are fantastic.
Yeah,
Like
heaps of butter on toast, and then just that nice bit of Vegemite on top.
Most people aren't going to enjoy biting into an onion. Not
I don't
very
like
good.
onions, period. I
But-
don't
but-
like anything.
But
Like
you
chili, you
cannot
wouldn't
make
just eat chili.
right.
Nope.
But you cannot make a good, let's say, marinara sauce without even if you don't like onions, you have to have that onion in there, that onion flavor.
Very true.
So yeah, it's like things like that.
Well, it's like pizza. I mean, pineapple on its own is pretty bad, but you put pineapple on a pizza and it's perfection.
it's
Perfectly awful.
I like pineapple on a pizza, Chris. I do.
It's wrong.
The proper way to prepare pineapple pizza is to put the pineapple on the pizza, then throw it out.
Exactly. This guy knows it.
No. You cut the pineapple up. You pick up the tray you cut the pineapple up on, and you tip it all into the bin.
Yes.
No, I mean, I get people that haven't tried it and are like, "Oh, that's gross." But if you've tried it, it's
I have.
really good. But it has
It
to
is
be
gross. I
the
cannot stand it.
Hawaiian pizza. It has to be the pineapple
Yes.
and the ham.
There's no such thing as
Oh, yeah.
Hawaiian pizza. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Oh, there
Canadian.
is. There is. I had one tonight.
Canadian.
It's Canadian.
Hawaiian pizza.
Well, see, I like getting the supreme and with all the toppings and everything, and then you get pineapple on top with the olives and anchovies.
Screw it all
Yeah.
up with the anchovies and the
Oh,
pineapple.
anchovies.
Block-
You're
Anchovies are
Reported.
gross.
All right, okay. So a question for the people that don't like pineapple on pizza: do you like sweet and sour chicken or pork at a Chinese restaurant?
Oh, sweet and sour pork.
Yeah,
I
like-
don't really
That's
like
got
Chinese
pineapple in
food.
it.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I don't mind. Okay, here's the thing. I don't really like pineapple all that much. I don't really like Chinese
Yeah.
food all that much. And sweet and sour pork, I can eat it. It's okay. But I don't like that same flavor on pizza. Like I like, I can eat chow mein, but I wouldn't just spread chow mein on my pizza. Fuck right off.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's a difference between sweet and sour chicken and pork, and then the tomato base with the pineapple just doesn't work.
And it
Actually,
depends
I'll
how you
tell you
make
what's
your
a big
sweet
hit.
and sour pork.
What's big here at the moment? It's funny you mentioned the chow mein, but Peking duck pizza is suddenly becoming a big thing where I am.
Oh,
Really?
I just like the classics. You need
and it
pepperoni and
works.
olive and
hamburger pizza. I mean, who makes a hamburger pizza? What the hell's with that?
Oh, that's
Have you seen the one with the actual meat? patties on the
Americans,
crust?
I assume.
Yeah, Pizza Hut was responsible for this. There was one with cheeseburgers on the crust. It
It's
was
gross.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Well,
Yeah.
what about the Pizza Hut had it was the hot dog, so it was like puff pastry with hot dog, like Frankfurt
Jesus
and the crust
Christ,
around
no.
it. It was like-
No.
and for me,
Chicago dog pizza, actually.
Now, Pizza Hut does have the stuffed crust pizza, and that's pretty good. It's just mozzarella cheese stuffed
Yeah.
inside the crust.
I prefer thin
Yeah, I
crust.
prefer thin too. I like anything from New York or even.
Oh, so you like a cracker?
Oh, give me a good Chicago
But
deep
it's not
dish pizza any day.
crispy. You have
I am
something
desperate to
that
try a
you
proper
can
Chicago
hold.
pizza.
yeah, same.
Oh,
Never
Oh,
had
I
one.
hate deep dish. Ugh.
Have a proper Mediterranean pizza with proper
I
tomato
like-
sauce.
I like both. I like both deep dish and thinner crust and kind of a normal crust. I like a lot of different crusts as long as it's well proportioned. You
Yeah.
can't have too thick a crust and then not enough cheese and toppings and stuff like that.
All right, you're all going to go.
You
great
want the
for that.
Goldilocks.
I love spinach
Mhm.
pizzas. Spinach and cheese pizza is absolutely yummy.
Die.
Yeah, I can. I can
Even-
tolerate it if it's the last pizza at a party, but I don't know if I'd order it straight up.
My-
I would just let it sit.
my roommate invited me out for pizza, and he put down this thing. It wasn't pizza; it was a pizza crust, and there was cheese. But instead of tomato sauce, it was mustard, and instead of normal toppings, it was pastrami. And I was just like, no, sorry, no, that's not a pizza. I mean, I like pastrami sandwiches, but just get me a pizza. No, I'm not eating that. Oh, yeah, it had pickles all over it too. Excuse me.
Wow.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Actually,
I love
have you guys ever had the kebab pizzas where they use the kebab meat on pizza with the garlic sauce swirl? And oh my god, that is just like the drunken 3 a.m. snack if there ever was one.
There was like 2 months where the local kebabery did that.
Is a kebab, yeah. Sorry.
All right, someone needs to just to make fun of some of the strange pizzas out there. Someone needs to go get those little pizza bites and just use those as a topping for pizza.
Yeah,
Right.
that's actually bloody brilliant.
People that say
I
savory
like
pizza.
that idea.
Sorry, sweet pizzas with marshmallow on them, and that's disgusting.
That's
Dumbest.
Spinach,
Chocolate
pineapple,
pizza?
and anchovies.
You don't like chocolate pizza, Jen?
No.
Come on.
Yeah.
But it has to be the right kind of crust. If you put it on like a regular
it's a
pizza
sweet
crust,
crust.
it's gross. Yeah, it has to be a sweet crust.
Oh, I've never had a sweet crust. That might be.
Yeah.
Give me a
I-
good
I-
old-fashioned chocolate pizza any day. Whoa, that's
I do like pancakes. I love those where you have chocolate syrup and ice cream with the pancake, and
Yeah.
that's good.
Chris, if you're in chat at all, I owe him pancakes. I make them from scratch, and they're very fucking good. So
Raven likes chicken and spinach pizzas.
no,
That's all right.
You
I
don't
don't
taste
mind
the
that.
spinach and you feel like you're making a healthier choice. So kind of, it's nice.
Yeah, I
So
don't eat
for me, it's
you make a healthy choice though.
Yeah, I know.
what about the
Simplicity,
classic?
though.
There is no such thing as a healthy
Chris
pizza.
is talking. Chris is talking.
I was going to say, what about the barbecue meat lovers? That's
Too
always
much.
a winner.
Like barbecue
rich.
chicken pizza. Ugh, that too. That's gross. I don't like that either.
I like it, but it's more than a
I'm not
sausage.
very daring when it comes to pizza. Just like pile on your classic meats like sausage and pepperoni and things like that. Give me olives. Although green olives on pizza is fucking amazing.
Oh, it is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you get the one stuffed with a bit of feta in there, and
Oh yeah.
Oh,
The king ingredient for pizza is truffle. A truffle pizza with mushrooms and cheese, and that's it.
Never had it.
The best. The best.
I never had truffle anything though. So
If you go to like
that'd be an expensive pizza.
yeah.
No, it's like 18 Australian ruples. So what, $10 American at my local for a truffle pizza. Like it's a truffle paste, so they're not like getting a truffle and like grating it across the
Australian
pizza.
dollar's not that bad.
Yeah,
Australian dollar's not that bad. About $12.
Hey, what do I look like? Xe.com? Like, come on.
Oh, come on, why don't you know that?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to America anytime soon. It's
fair.
Why
72
not?
yen.
It's fucking
Well-
great here, apparently. No, it's not. It's horrible.
Last
Everything's
time I
bad.
checked, it was about double. So not exactly, but like 15 US dollars would be right around 35 Australian.
No, it's not that. It's 66 cents to the dollar. So $1 Australian dollar will get you 66 US cents at the moment. So it's quite literally on the 2/3. But we did have parity a few years ago.
Oh, God,
which is
parody was
frustrating.
beautiful.
I miss parity, and I only say that because I import from the US, so I keep up to date with it and pull my hair out all the time that the Australian dollar isn't as strong as it should be. Can you guys collapse your economy? Please collapse your economy, just for me.
Just for you, Chris.
Last time that
Okay.
happened, I basically ended up homeless. Let's not do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're headed that way anyway. So
Yeah, we
Good.
I
are.
might
Good.
jump out,
I'm really
guys,
worried.
because I want to make sure that I give other Chris a chance to have things set up properly.
yeah.
So,
Bye, Jen.
Jen, before you go, shill away. You can
Yeah.
be the first to shill.
yeah, I'm Jen from Jen's Little Corner. I do a lot of pseudoscience debunking, atheist content, and LGBTQ plus content. Check me out, Jen's Little Corner. Yep. There you go. And I will be over on Daily Atheist in about 15 minutes.
which we'll probably try and finish up as they're starting, so that way we can kind of lead into. So we're going to make sure everyone kind of goes over and does what we did last week and say, Atheist Pastor sent me. So everyone, when you jump across to the Daily Atheist Show, make sure that you put Atheist Pastor sent me. Just so Chris knows. The other Chris, like Daily
I actually beat Dave to the wolf this time.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, you know what? See you, Jen. On this stream as well, someone beat Dave to the wolf. Now, for those who don't know, every time there's a stream on,
Dave's always
first comment, Dave with wolf. And you know what, Dave, I don't know what's going on, mate, but you haven't been there lately. I mean, we're not feeling the love. If you're not the first one there, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Weird.
And I think Danger Hissy's got it right. Hey, Chris sent me, not you, Chris.
Chris.
Now say that 10 times fast.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, we might leave that one, but yeah. Well, what we might do is we might. I guess we've got a few minutes to slowly kind of shill everyone and find out what everyone's got coming up on their channel. So I'll pass across to you first, Ansgar, because you've got a bit of change going on at the moment. So, so what are your plans? What are your immediate plans if people like what they saw today?
Oh, cool. So I've got 2 shows coming up that on my channel. Well, 3 technically. I have a scripted show that I do that I'm going to get really back into called Gothic Puppet Theater, and I do presentations about different cultural things going on, and I use these little animated stick puppets. I find it entertaining anyway. A few people seem to find it entertaining. And then I'm going to have 2 live shows. I'm working with, I don't know if you guys know Dave McGinnis, and I'm going to be working with him. I've got the Luminarium podcast, which is named after my comic books, where we're going to be talking about geeky, nerdy crap. That's going to be once a week on Thursdays, and that my wife joins me for that one. Much earlier than this stream. And no, we're going to talk about latest game releases, movies, comics, whatever. And then we've got another show that we have planned. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be called. We're still developing an interface and a look for it. And we're going to be talking about more serious topics. And we're not sure what the schedule is going to be for that, but you can just look up my name, Ansgar Odinson. I'm pretty much the only one on YouTube with that name. So, you'll find me pretty damn easy. And in the meantime, I'm also developing a comic book, and you can find out more about that comic book at luminariumcomic.com. And that also has... Oh, thank you. Thank you, man. There's a gallery there. Right now, my patrons not only are going to get a bunch of stuff related to the streams and stuff like that, but they're also going to get access to my webcomic. And when the webcomic, when I have enough of the comic done, to release it as a proper graphic novel, I'm going to do a crowdfund. And then I will, once I've gone to print and I've sold all those copies, then the webcomic will be released for free for everyone. And then the next graphic novel will be, once again, chapter by chapter, released as a webcomic for patrons. So that's
awesome.
That's what I got going on.
Cool.
Now, if anyone can, if anyone can throw the links in as well as we go, that would be awesome. I know the links have been, I think Critical Cribble's been throwing the links in as the stream's been going, but if anyone can throw them in again, that would be good. I'm going to duck down. I'm going to reverse the order a bit. Sam, what's going on, Sam? Because you have got one of the most grossly, and I say this all the time, your channel is so grossly undersubbed, it's not funny, mate, because the content you're putting out is awesome content. It's I like to call it the thinking man's kind of content. It's it's got that deepness about it, but it's light at the same time and very relatable.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, that one about Christian rap.
Hey, I gotta say, your vlogs are great. I love your vlogs.
Look, I haven't posted in this is probably my 3rd week now, which I'm feeling really shitty about. I'm probably going to say screw it. And the video I did record earlier this week about dealing with what was it? Diversity and how that can actually create friction in society and dealing with that in community. So, for example, it's sort of a topic like particularly with Six Pack where we do have a diverse group of people. And, we need to acknowledge that when there's diversity in opinions and, me and Chris, we're diverse. And that can create friction, and how that's important to acknowledge and address. Blah 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 blah. I haven't posted.
We always agree, though. We never disagree.
But you know what I mean. Like there's a positivity to diversity where Anyway, there's a vlog about it, which I haven't posted because I do a vlog style when I can, and in this case there was some background noise which I thought might be too significant, but I'm probably overthinking it, and I'll probably end up posting that this weekend, and I'll probably try and get a second video out to try and make up for the couple of weeks of inactivity. I am starting to try and stream a little bit on the YouTube channel. I know most people prefer to do it on Twitch, but I don't know if I can be bothered trying to corral people to my Twitch page as well as my YouTube page. See how that goes. And that's about it. I mostly do stuff here on Six Pack and bits and pieces. So.
And I loved the Christian game you were playing.
Oh, the Christian space day.
So I streamed that earlier this week, and it's a bit of a weird setup because it's a mobile game.
For that one.
Sorry?
I didn't get a notification for that one.
It was a live stream that was kind of like, I just need to play around with something. Trying to just get used to the live stream setup for YouTube because it was like the second time I live streamed on YouTube. But because it's using Wi-Fi to mirror to my screen, and then I'm capturing the screen with XSplit, about 10 minutes into the video, there was about 6 minutes where the screen didn't update, and it wasn't until Critical Cripple was like, oh, hey, I think something's happened, and I was able to fix it. So about a third of the video is useless. But yes, I am playing that at some point as well. So
awesome. We'll move across to Jay. What conspiracy are you debunking this week, Jay?
Oh, actually, I'm not this week. All right. So, for those of you, most people here know what's going on. This weekend is my 1 year YouTube anniversary.
Nice.
Sunday is actually 1 year since I started. So this is a special weekend. I got lots of stuff planned. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on the Daily Atheist Morning Show. We're going to be talking the Alien movies for Sci-Fi Saturday. And then 6:30 tomorrow night, Eastern time, I'll be on the Shills. And then at 9 o'clock after the Shills on my stream, we're going to be talking horror monsters. Which versions of the movies are most likely to be true? Which one are more realistic? So you got Dracula or you got the Cullens, which one, that type of thing, and then Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I will be streaming. It's an open stream. Anybody that wants to come in is invited, and it'll go for however long it goes, and it's just a chit chat to talk about whatever. Just a big thank you for everybody for the last year. The big project I do have, I've got one. I'm waiting on something from somebody. Then Hammer's got a new video coming out. I'm just waiting for that. And then Raven and myself are working on a new series on serial killers. Raven's doing the research, and I'll probably write the script, and I'll record and do all the editing. Our first one is on Jack the Ripper.
Nice.
We might do one or two big ones and do or one big one, one obscure one, that kind of thing. Two big ones, one obscure. We're not sure exactly how to go about this. We got to wait and see how much of a pain in the ass this Jack the Ripper one is going to be, because there's a lot of information. But yeah, that's what we got going on. Other than that, Six Pack every Friday, daily Atheist Morning Show every now and then. So.
And Mama Atheist Amanda, we had a bit of an interesting chat last night about a bit of a concept for a show. So I think we'll have to talk about that a little bit further, which is creating content aimed at older teens. I guess for teens who are atheists and dealing with that. Did you want to, I guess, have a bit of a chat about the motivation and why that's important? And What's driving you to do that?
I mean, it directed at older teens or young adults, but really anybody who is struggling, that maybe grew up in the faith or anything like that, where they're finding their way out and they're trying to decide. They're anybody who's really questioning, and I think that to me that's important because my son he's 16 and he I had mentioned this yesterday on the Daily Atheist show. His best friend came to me and asked about that, and that's where the idea came from. And I've since spoken to quite a few of his friends that feel like, their faith is not something that is important to them, or they don't understand it, and just a guide in a sort of general direction as to, and I'm not pushing anybody anyway, just, giving them a chance to explore what they need to explore in order to find those answers for themselves. So and
I think it is something that's important, because I think there's a lot of teenagers, especially the ones who are stuck in religious communities, who feel like they don't really have a voice and they don't really have anyone they can talk to. So I think it's a really cool concept, because I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people who actually need the help. Yeah, and I think it's something that, as a community, it's probably kind of been a little bit underdone, especially with all the new regulations as far as content for kids. But we'll have a chat and we'll get something happening there, because I think it's as much help as we in the community can give you to make that happen. I think it's a really important project. So we'll I think we were meant to chat today and I was slack, but
that's okay.
I will chat to you.
Yeah.
I promise I will. I've got had a bit of a crazy day. So we've got we're selling a house at the moment and had to get photos and run around, and it was just a nightmare. But anyway,
but I'm asking, Chris is obviously helping me with it, but I'm asking for help from any content creator, any atheist whatsoever. Reach out to me. I'm Mama Atheist on Twitter. If you want to help out, just let me know, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And quickly, Sam, you're going to be on Neil the 604 this week.
Yeah, completely forgot about it. So in about 12 hours, I think, I'll be on Neil's show talking about my deconversion story, I think. So, it should be interesting. So especially if you haven't seen my first video, and I'm sure some other stuff will come up because they're about an hour long usually. So
Now, for those who have come along for the first time because you saw I tagged someone a lot more interesting than me in a post. I'm Chris. I'm the Atheist Pastor. Look, this channel is about community. It's about having a chat and showing that us atheists, we're not evil, horrible people. We've got a good sense of humor. I do a lot of stuff that obviously talks about and pokes a bit of fun at mainly Christianity, because that's where I used to be in leadership. But we've got a lot of stuff coming up as far as Australian content. I want to kind of try and share a bit of the Australian culture as much as I can, and I think it's something that's very underdone. I think even in Australia, we don't understand our history and culture. So I've got some stuff coming up there. I do a little bit of political stuff, but I don't know. I think I'm sort of backing off the political stuff because I just tend to get too fired up about it. And it's, I think politics and religion, they say you should never discuss those things. So I might stick to one, but I am someone who is what's called centre-right leaning. So anyone who is that way inclined politically, know that in the atheist community, you are not alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link across to the Daily Atheist, which I will probably be jumping into at some point soon, but definitely go and check out Daily Atheist. Make sure you tell them that Atheist Pastor sent you, and we'll just we'll troll Daily Atheist with as much Atheist Pastor sent me as we can. Just for a laugh, with me and Chris, the Daily Atheist Chris, American Chris, we have a little bit of we like to have a little bit of a laugh with each other. So everyone head across to that. Look, on that note, thank you everyone for coming. 2.5 hours. I know some of you have been here with us since the start, so awesome. Thank you to everyone who showed up today for the stream, especially
thanks everyone.
Ridiculously early for you, isn't it?
Oh yeah, right now it's coming in on 5 o'clock in the morning. But then again, like I said, I'm up all night. I feel more creative, more energized at night. I hate being awake during the day. I'm
too bloody hard.
And you know what's really awful is you go outside and you look up and there's this like ball of hatred in the sky that tries to cook you. It's fucking awful.
I know how you feel. I work third shift, so I'm up all night long myself. So
Yeah, I'm with you.
it's daylight is like.
Yeah.
Give me good old darkness with some stars. I'll be all right.
Props to Amanda as well, because this is 2 mornings in a row that you've been up pretty early. I mean, I guess yesterday was reasonably early for you. And what time was it when this started? It was about 5:30 for you.
5:30. Yeah.
5:30.
Wow.
5:30.
I mean, yeah. See, that's the problem when you know too many Australians. We have strange, weird, and wonderful times. So,
But I prefer you guys to Americans anyway, so it's fine. I'm good.
well, that's all right then. That's okay. Although I will say, there's more Americans in the stream at the moment than
at the moment.
That's
We're
okay.
the cool ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're the
you
cool
guys-
Americans. We're not like the other Americans.
Yeah.
They've got an Australian spirit about them.
Mayonnaise.
Yeah, honorary Aussies, we'll call you. So I know Jay's an honorary Aussie, so we'll bestow
Thank
that
you.
upon you two as well.
Convicts.
So
Thank
absolutely
you.
welcome to the colony. So
Yeah.
all right. So on that note, I am going to end the stream. Everyone, head over and say hi to Chris at the Daily Atheist, and I'll probably be there in a few minutes anyway. So so come and say hello. So thanks again, everyone, and
Thank
have a
you,
good
guys.
night, morning, evening, and afternoon.
Yep. Be